Facts of Life.
Pack up, Brooke Shields, you're through.
The Facts of Life on WTTV Channel 4.
WTTV for the good times.
We start the 1987 season today in the Assembly Hall with a couple of transplanted California natives drawing starting assignments as Bob Knight opens season 16. Joe Hillman, South Glendale, California, a redshirt junior, who in preseason has given the Hoosiers more on-court leadership and direction than almost everybody else put together. Hillman has taken charge, pushing the ball, positioning players. Definitely a key at both ends, Joe Hillman. In from the junior college ranks, San Clemente, California's Dean Garrett. Dean at 6'10" has given the Hoosier staff hope that more stability will be present at the defensive end. Has caught on to the Knight way of doing things. Good instincts, goes hard to the boards, can block the shots, and will get his share of points from being at the right spot at the right time. Hillman and Garrett, Californians, now turned Hoosiers. Both of them keys today as Indiana opens the 1987 campaign with Montana State. We are now live at the Assembly Hall on the campus of Indiana University in Bloomington. The students still on vacation break, but we're expecting a crowd of 16,000 as the Montana State Fighting Bobcats from Bozeman have trekked in from the Big Sky country of Montana. We're looking at the record in the hall, 87% in 15 previous years. The Hoosiers, of course, with great success, 13-2 last year. And Montana State, of course, no pushover. And Bob Knight has warned about that all week long, not only to the players, but to the fans, as he kind of officially kicked off the season yesterday at the IU tip-off luncheon in the South Lobby of the Assembly Hall. Hello again, everybody, and welcome once again to Indiana University tip-off with Bob Knight. I'm Joe Smith, and of course we'll be taking an in-depth look at today's ball game as the Bobcats of Stu Starner come calling. We'll be talking to Coach Starner and also getting some comments from Bob Knight. Actually, the Big Ten did quite well last night with debuts made successfully by Dr. Tom Davis at Iowa, and also Bill Foster at the Northwestern opened with a victory. The Purdue Boilermakers were quite impressive. We'll be taking a look at some of the the statistics from those ball games and catching you up on basketball happenings as we get it all kicked off for 1987. As has been the case the last couple of years on the tip-off show, Kit Klingelhofer will be with us, Coach Bob Knight, and we'll be back to take a look at the Hoosier capsule as we size up today's ball games off of last year's records. Montana State's in town to kick it off for the 86-7 basketball season, and we're back with more right after these messages.
Indiana University Tip-Off with Bob Knight is brought to you in part by local participating Napa Auto Parts stores and by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light.
Charlie, give me a light. Charlie, a Bud Light.
If you just ask for a light beer, you never know what you'll get.
Give me a light. Bud Light. Hey, thanks.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
I can have a light? Bud Light.
Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
The Clark Bobcat skid steer loader. It's the versatile friend of the contractor. A Bobcat can load a truck, break concrete, landscape, dig deep, trench fast, backfill, move pallets. A Bobcat can handle these jobs and more.
Bright Equipment, 2935 Bluff Road, Indianapolis, 787-2201.
Stuart Skillman Oldsmobile, the state's largest and #1 luxury van dealer, has become Indiana's newest GMC truck dealer. And Stuart Skillman wants to be #1 in GMC truck sales. To do this, we have a large selection of GMC trucks, all at sale prices for you to choose from. Stuart Skillman has the full line: GMC S15s, GMC full-size, four-wheel drive GMCs, GMC dualies, plus many more. So see us now.
Stuart Skillman Discount Oldsmobile. You're gonna love it.
Thanks for coming.
You bet. Well, what do you think?
I don't know. What do you think?
I wouldn't mind saving a little money on herbicide.
Me neither. It's cheaper than dual or lasso.
Performance sounds pretty good, too.
Yeah, what do you make of that guarantee?
I want it to work. That's the best guarantee.
I know, but I mean, it sounds like this is one company that's going to stand behind their product.
You think so?
Welcome back to the Assembly Hall, everyone, as we kick off the basketball season for 1987. And Kip Klingelhofer, the Sports Information Director, once again on board with us to take a quick look at the capsule. And, you know, Kip, before we do that, it doesn't really seem like it was that many months ago that we welcomed Kent State into the Hall. And 12 months later, here we are again with Montana State.
The seasons do go fast, Joe. I think you're exactly right. We had a good season last year. I think there's hope for improvement this year. I think we've got a good, solid basketball team. I think we're going to have a lot more depth than we had a year ago. I think everybody's anxious to kick it off.
The Hoosiers, of course, have been scrimmaging around the state, and we'll take a look at some statistics bearing that out in just a few moments. But, Kid, as we glance at this particular ball game, I know Stu Starner has brought a very formidable opponent in to kick 87 off with.
Well, Joe, Montana State is a team that was in the NCAA tournament last year and got there by beating Montana, the regular season champion, to go to the NCAA, and played St. John's, a very good ball game in the NCAA tournament last year. Even though they didn't have a winning record, they're familiar with a couple things. Number one, the three-point shot, because they've used it in the Big Sky the last 2 years, and they were an exceptional shooting team from three-point range last year. I think you're going to see them popping from three-point range a lot today.
Something like 222 points added to that offense, and really that puts pressure on the defense, no question about it.
No question, Joe. Your teams are going to have to play a lot better perimeter defense and concentrate more on perimeter defense than they have in the last few years. What I think that will do is open up the middle a little bit. So it's going to be a different aspect, I think, basketball defensively this year. It's going to be very interesting. The games that have been played already last night in the NIT, been a lot of things happening on the three-point shot, so it's going to make for a lot of exciting basketball. Whether it's good or not, I don't know. I think we're going to have to give it a year and see.
A 14-17 ball club a year ago, but they got hot at the right time. Going off of last year's statistics, what kind of ball club are they team-wise?
Well, Montana State is not an overpoweringly physical team, Joe, but they are a quick team. As you said, a 14-17 record. They averaged 78 points a game. A lot of that, again, because of the three-point shot. They gave up 77 points a game defensively, so they were on the plus side, even though they had a losing record. They were a good shooting team, almost 50%, and from three-point range, they were a 47% shooting team, and I think that's going to be an excellent mark from three-point range. They were a good free throw shooting team as well, 75%. They averaged just a shade less than one rebound a game than their opponents. This is Stu Starner's third year. Of course, he was an assistant coach at Minnesota, now beginning his third year at Montana State with a record of 39-49.
And, of course, the Hoosiers lost out to Cleveland State after finishing 21-8, and last year's ball club, a little over 53%, and when Indiana shoots well, good things usually happen.
Well, that's been the case the last 2 years, Joe. As you mentioned, our shooting last year was a new school record, 53.6%. This is going to be another good shooting team this year, Joe, and that's been a tradition of Bob Knight coach teams, good shooting teams. The Hoosiers, as you said, 21-8 last year. Offensively averaged 76 points a game. That was the most since the 76 team as far as points per game. I wouldn't be surprised to see that go up this year because I think this team is going to be a little more up-tempo than the teams we've had the last 3 or 4 years. Our defensive yield last year, almost 68 points a game, so we averaged better than 8 points a game, better than the opposition. Free throws, we shot 74%. That's a good mark. Of course, when you got Steve Alford, who's a career leader in both field goal and free throw percentage, you're going to have a good shooting ball club. Our rebounds, again, like Montana State, down one for the opponents. I think with Dean Garrett in the middle, I think our rebounding is going to be a little bit improved this year. Bob Knight's record now, 438-165 at Indiana, 12-3 in opening games.
As we were telling you, the Hoosiers went around the state as far as scrimmages. Let's see, Gary, Fort Wayne, over at Newcastle, and also in Bloomington last Monday night. And interesting to note that something like 10 Hoosiers finished in double figures. Of course, they were playing against each other, but still we can look into some of the statistics off of those particular games and see something there, too.
Well, I think two things stick out in those stats, Joe. One is the rebounding of Dean Garrett. He not only rebounded well in those exhibition games, but had 10 rebounds against the Soviet Union when they played the Russians. The second thing I think sticks out is the assist total that Joe Hillman had. Joe was the guy with the red shirt last year, has come back, I think, used that year to his benefit. I think he has a great understanding of what goes on around the court. I think if there's been one big surprise in the 6 weeks leading up to this opening game, it's been the play of Joe Hillman.
Well, Steve Alford averaging over 31.5 points a ball game, and as I say, everybody get a piece of the action with 10 Hoosiers averaging in double figures. So much for the Hoosier capsule. The Hoosiers have taken the court. We're still about 10 minutes away from the opening tap to start 1987. And for a further look into today's ball game, some pregame comments from Coach Bob Knight.
The opening game is perhaps always the most interesting game of the season because you never quite know what to expect. We've been working since October 15th, and during that time, we not only have been practicing right here almost every day, but we've had scrimmages in Gary and Fort Wayne, in Newcastle, a scrimmage here on this court, and then a game with the Russian national team on November 15th, which gives us 5 real game situations to look at our club and evaluate where we are. What we try to do here in practice is a little bit different than an actual game situation, because we'll spend a lot of time working on half-court things, maybe a 2-on-2 sequence or a 3-on-3 sequence, putting everything together into our 5-man offense or our 5-man defense. I think in teaching the game of basketball, we try and break it down into parts, and basketball is a game that can easily be divided into parts, starting with one-on-one, going all the way through to the final team phase of the game, which is 5-on-5. And yet, in all of our work since the 15th of October, the only time that we've had a chance to play against somebody other than ourselves is against the Russian team. And I felt in that game, for the first 32 minutes, we played very, very well. However, in the next 5 minutes, we went from a 13-point lead to a 3-point deficit, and then ended up winning the game by a couple of points, playing pretty well in the last 3 minutes. So where does all that take us? Really not sure. And that's why the first game each year is such a unique thing. We don't know exactly how we're going to play. We try to simulate the defenses that we'll be playing against. We try to do the things defensively that we feel we're going to have to do. But now, as we start in our game today against Montana State, we're going against a team that has been working as long and as hard as we have, doing those things that it likes to do on both offense and defense. Now, it's a matter of our being able to play against what they do offensively, making it difficult for them to score, and now playing against what they do defensively to get scoring opportunities for ourselves, rather than playing against those things that we ourselves do. Montana State is coming off a much better ending to the 1986 season than we are. Montana State won the Big Sky tournament, and in doing so, obtained a berth into the NCAA in the Western Regional, where they gave St. John's an awfully good ball game before losing toward the end by 5 or 6 points. They've got several good players back from that team. They're an outstanding shooting ball club. I think it's a team with very, very good quickness. It has excellent speed going up and down the floor. Now, what kind of a team are we to play against this? Well, I think we're a team that has a little better quickness and speed than we did a year ago. I think we're a team that has better depth than we had a year ago, and both of these qualities, quickness and depth, are essential to a team being able to remain competitive over a 28-game schedule. I've said a few times already this fall, and we'll repeat it again, that last year I felt for our first 27 games, our team played just about as well as it was capable of playing. And then in our last 2 games, we just didn't play very well. And Michigan had a lot to do with that when we played up in Ann Arbor in the game that decided the Big Ten championship. They played very, very well. They took a lot of things to us right from the beginning, things away from us, made it very difficult for us to play. The Cleveland State game, however, was one where I felt we were our own worst enemy, rather than the opposition providing the means for our having problems in the ball game. I thought we took care of that ourselves. So these 2 teams playing today, one, Montana State, is coming off an excellent ending to its past season. Indiana, not a very good ending. We went well throughout so much of the season, only to end up on kind of a sour note. I think that our players are anxious to get started. I know the coaches are really anxious, as we always are at this point in the season, just to see what we can do against somebody else. I think it'll be nice for our players to line up out here on the floor this afternoon, playing against people that they don't know, that they haven't played against before, and giving them an opportunity to test what we've worked on, as well as their own individual skills against different players. Montana State, I would think, would vary its defenses, playing some man-to-man defense as well as some zone defense, perhaps throwing in some full-court pressure along with it. As I said, they're a team with good quickness and speed, and I think they'll utilize that defensively. Offensively, I think one of the things that we need to be concerned about is the three-point line right here going away from me on either side, because the three-point shot will be something that will be a featured part of Montana State's offense today. So if we can control things beyond this three-point line as well as not giving up anything inside, then we should be pretty good defensively. If we can handle the basketball with good movement, then our offense ought to function properly. But sometimes those two things just don't happen. We'll have to see today what we can do against an opponent other than ourselves, and we're all looking forward to that.
And the Hoosiers ready to tip it off, and we're back with more in the hall right after these messages.
All the right parts in all the right places. Napa's putting smiles on American faces.
It's the worst sound you'll ever hear. Don't let it happen to you. Replace your old battery with the power from Napa. Strong enough to carry a 6-year warranty. On sale now, just $49.95. Save 50% on Napa Belden battery cables, too. Don't get stuck. Get the power from Napa.
All the right parts in all the right places. Napa.
True or false? Compared to electricity, gas gives you twice as much hot water for the same cost. In the time it takes an electric burner just to heat up, you can be cooking with gas. Compared to electricity, gas heat costs less. You're smarter to choose gas.
When you're looking for a sure thing, look to the man who knows what it takes to be a winner. Look for quality, dedication, pride. Look to your Indiana Ford dealer for America's #1 truck, F-150. Priced to save you over $670. Ford quality, dedication, pride, and performance.
See your Indiana Ford dealer. Good people, great products. As sure as a little three-pointer.
Don't come too close. I have a bad cough and a cold.
No one appreciates the way Mom takes care of everyone until Mom gets sick.
What do we do now? Mom always takes care of us.
That's when the person who doctors the family turns to Robitussin, because more doctors and pharmacists recommend Robitussin than any other cough medicine.
Feeling better, Mom?
I was.
Robitussin, recommended by more doctors, pharmacists, and Dr. Mom.
Well, we welcome in from Bozeman, Montana, the Montana State Bobcats, the Fighting Bobcats of Stu Starner, starting his 4th season. And, Coach, we trust you had a happy Thanksgiving and a nice trip in from the Big Sky country, and welcome to the Assembly Hall.
Well, of course, the University of Indiana has been one of the elite basketball programs in the country, and the opportunity for our players to play against the country's best is something that we've been looking forward to, and our goal is just to come out and play a good Bobcat type of game, shoot the ball well, hopefully get in a little bit of an up-tempo game, although the Hoosiers this season, I think, have really improved that quickness and are a changed team from last season. But we're pleased to be here and look forward to the event.
Stu, you had a terrific end of the season. You're the Big Sky postseason, the conference champions out of the tournament. You had a great springboard coming off the regular season and gave St. John's all they wanted. And tell us a little something about your ball club that you've assembled here for 87.
We have a unique basketball team from the standpoint that we're not a physical team, but we have 4 very fine perimeter shooters. And last season anyway, the three-point play was a great ally for us. We shot 48% from that line. But with that in mind, that we aren't physical, it's important that we somehow maintain some sort of stability on the boards. Our biggest concern against the Hoosiers would be the rebounding of Garrett, Callaway, and Thomas, who are fine athletes. But we'll start Krell Furch, the lone senior, a returning all-conference player, 2 juniors, Ray Willis and at the guard, and Tom Domeko at the forward, and then 2 sophomores who are from the state of Montana, Mike Fellows from Choteau, Montana, and our 6th man last year, Shan Furch. So we're relatively inexperienced, and coming into an arena like this, that makes, of course, the coach a little bit nervous.
Stu, tell us a little about Domeko. We had a chance to see some of your highlights from your Calgary exhibition game last weekend. Tell us a little about Domeko and Fellows and Krell Furch.
Well, Krell has been stable. He's an unorthodox player at 6'4". He's not necessarily a shooter, but he finds different ways to score and has his own problems defensively with physical matchups, but he presents some problems because of versatility. Our other forward, Tom Domeko, has a uniqueness, too, because he's 6'9", and the best part of his game is at 20 feet. So looking at that, it's important that we really get our forwards involved offensively and create some outside problems. Our major concern would be establish an inside game. I think it's going to take 6 or 7 games until we get that good balance that's necessary, and I'm pretty sure that Coach Knight's going to make it very difficult for us to work that 24-foot mark tonight.
Stu, we've seen the impact of the three-point play early season already with games played last night and what have you. You've tinkered around with it in your league for 2 years. How have you implemented it into your offense as well as the other end of the court defensively?
The three-point play, though, still has to be a natural shot. You can't force it, and that means you need to have good three-point shooters, and Steve Alford is a natural there. That's his shot anyway, and that will be a natural thing. But to try to force a three-pointer out of players that aren't capable or it's not a part of your offense would be a vast mistake, because a made two-pointer inside is better than a missed three-pointer from 20 feet. And I think that we're going to see as the season goes along that the first 7 or 8 games also are going to have coaches making a lot of adjustments on how they're figuring out how to defend the perimeter. So all in all, I think by the time you hit mid-season that the three-point won't have as big an effect as many people think it will.
Stu, I know you brought some fans. I know Bob's a big fan of the state of Montana. I think he fished all the streams and creeks and what have you out of Montana. I hope they can refill them with fish and what have you. But I know it's a big ball game for your school and for your city of Bozeman, and also for Bob. He looks at it the other way, too.
Well, of course, Coach Knight is an honorary citizen of the state of Montana, and he knows perhaps much more about the state than many native Montanans. He has spent the last 14 summers and falls in the state hunting and fishing, and he indeed has a lot of his fans that know him for many of the small towns across the state who will be tuned into this game. So not only is it a great opportunity for our players to come down here, but Coach Knight's many fans in that area are anxiously looking on at this game too.
Stu, the best of luck to you when you get in conference play. I know they'll be out after you since you won that tournament, but certainly with what you have here and what we've seen in preseason and on tape, the best of luck to you out there.
Well, we're looking forward to the season, and we certainly will be closely following the Hoosiers during the Up 10 Big Ten battles also, Joe.
Okay, Coach Stu Starner starting his 4th season as the Fighting Bobcats from Bozeman, Montana in the Assembly Hall to kick it off for 1987.
We had basketball last night in the Assembly Hall, and congratulations to Georgia Hohen's IU Lady Hoosiers as they defeat Kent State 73-60 in the opening round of the Indiana Coca-Cola Classic. They'll meet Dayton tonight at 8 o'clock. Dayton a 62-57 winner over Indiana State. In the Lady Hoosier game, Karna Abram with 26 points. Cindy Bumgardner had 16 points and 16 rebounds, and Rosie Carlton added to the offense with 16 points. Shopping around from yesterday and last night, a solid game for the Purdue Boilermakers as they get in the win column, 97-65 over Stetson. They had 4 men in double figures led by Troy Lewis's 19. Iowa defeated Alaska up in Anchorage 91-81 in the Great Alaskan Shootout. Dr. Tom Davis's debut, a successful one out for the University of Iowa. Michigan State will play Navy tonight, and Big Dave Robinson off its 99-83 victory last night in the Cutlass Classic up at Jennison Fieldhouse in East Lansing over Eastern Michigan. Illinois was a 2-point winner over New Mexico State. That's Lou Henson's old ball club. That was 67-65 last night. And Northwestern, they have a new basketball coach in Bill Foster, and they defeat Maryland Baltimore by a count of 81-52. And Wisconsin opened up under Steve Yoder once again with an 86-47 victory over Nebraska Omaha. The rest of the best outside of this ball game in the hall here this afternoon, North Dakota State will be playing at Minnesota. That'll be the coaching debut of Clem Haskins. Gary Williams makes his debut at Ohio State University later tonight. They'll be taking on South Florida. The balance of the schedule out in Hilo, Hawaii. Illinois now will play Duke. Navy, as I say, against Michigan State later tonight. And Iowa will be playing North Carolina State, as that was an exciting ball game. NC State winning that one last night over former Hoosier assistant Bob Weltlich's Texas Longhorns after time had expired. They're playing at the Great Alaskan Shootout in Anchorage. And, of course, Louisville, the top-ranked team in one of the polls, lost last night to Northeastern. Well, we have basketball to be played here in the Assembly Hall. The Fighting Bobcats from Bozeman. They're called Montana State. And the basketball Hoosiers of Bob Knight. We're back with a final comment or two back in the Assembly Hall right after these messages.
Go on. Ask any Tom Wood Toyota customer why they bought their car from Tom Wood Toyota. Know what they'll say? Complete satisfaction. The 3 S's. Sales, service, and selection. It all adds up to a Tom Wood Toyota deal. They'll treat you right. So come on in today and see for yourself why so many people have chosen to buy their new Toyota from Tom Wood, 4202 Lafayette Road, across the street from Lafayette Square.
Just when you think you've got the weather figured out. the wind picks up and changes everything. So this year, before the winds of change move in, get a tractor as changeable as the weather. A John Deere 300 or 400 series that goes from mower to snow thrower in a hurry. So get a new John Deere soon and blow out what the wind blows in.
At Healy Equipment, north of Franklin on US 31 North.
Why do some people seem better informed, more knowledgeable? They seem to be on the inside of how it all works, internationally, nationally, and right here in Indianapolis. Well, they are better informed. They're bright, star bright, because they start every day with the Indianapolis Star. You can start every day on the inside. Call 633-9211 to subscribe. Be star bright. Be on the inside.
If you need a textile rental service for towels, table linens, or garments, you should know about Midwest Towel. Recently, I made a decision that saved my company thousands of dollars. I switched our textile rental service to Midwest Towel. Now I pay only for the linens we use. A representative will show you how to compare. The more you know about the textile rental industry, the more you can save.
Get quality for less. Call Midwest Towel, your complete textile rental service.
Well, just a broadcast reminder, immediately following the IU game this afternoon, be sure to join Jerry Baker and Dick Dullahan for the Class 5A state championship ball game, and what a dandy it ought to be. Number 1 against number 2, Fort Wayne Snyder, 13-0 against the Carmel Greyhounds, 13-0, immediately following the IU basketball game. So I hope we've kind of put things in perspective for you. As far as the season opener is concerned, we looked at Dean Garrett and Joe Hillman, 2 Californians that are in the starting lineup here this afternoon against Montana State. Coach, of course, concerned with the three-point play, and the three-point play will very much be a factor here this afternoon between the Hoosiers and the Bobcats. The Hoosiers, of course, trying to get the season off on the right foot, and hopefully will do that with a victory here against Montana State. Chuck Marlowe and John Laskowski will be along to do the play-by-play in color as always, and another broadcast reminder that we'll have the IU tip-off show with Bob Knight on the air at 7 o'clock this Tuesday night as the Hoosiers trek on up to South Bend to take on Digger Phelps Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. They're off to a 0-1 start, having lost in the NIT Big Apple tournament earlier in this week. So Notre Dame has had plenty of time to get ready for Indiana. That game will be on the air again, 7:30 tip time, 7 o'clock with the pregame show. So that's about the story from the Assembly Hall. 16,000 have gathered to watch the 1987 opener. Joe Smith bidding you a pleasant good afternoon.
Indiana University Tip-Off with Bob Knight was brought to you by local participating Napa Auto Parts stores.
When I discovered electricity, I never meant for people to heat their homes with it. And certainly not in cold Indianapolis winters. Gas has always been the most comfortable way to heat your home, with air that feels warm, not cool. And today's high-efficiency gas furnaces cost much less to operate and maintain, which adds up to a lot of pennies saved. So if someone tells you to buy an electric heat pump, tell them to go fly a kite. All over Indianapolis, gas is the natural choice.
All the right parts in all the right places. Napa's putting smiles on American faces.
It's the worst sound you'll ever hear. Don't let it happen to you. Replace your old battery with the power from Napa. Strong enough to carry a 6-year warranty. On sale now, just $49.95. Save 50% on Napa belt and battery cables, too. Don't get stuck. Get the power from Napa.
All the right parts in all the right places. Napa.
Q95, the full spectrum of rock and roll.
I wanna be your sunshine.
Bob and Tom, mornings on Q95, Sirius Radio.
I'm crazy about it, Starner.
Quality rock and roll from compact disc. An American original. Q95, Indy's best rock and roll.
At Merchants National Bank, when you give us a plan, we'll give you a sign.
No problem.
We have your money.
Buy that equipment. You've got that loan. Let's go.
It's yours.
Do it.
Hey, let's get to work.
start stocking?
The answer is yes.
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 It's a very good sign that when it comes to money you can plan on, Merchants means business.
Yes.
See the light. See copyright. Find out what service really means. Copyright. Copyright. Never don't let me stand a soldier in the battle. We're tried and true. Indiana, Indiana, we're all for you.
It's the start of another great basketball season at Indiana University, and today the Fighting Bobcats of Montana State come into Assembly Hall to meet the Hurricane Hoosiers of Coach Bob Knight. Hello, everybody. We're live from Assembly Hall. Chuck Marlowe along with John Laskowski. John, it's a fun game today for both teams. They're kicking off the season.
Well, it should be. Montana State's a very fast-paced team. They like to get up and down the floor. They've had some experience last year with a three-point shot. Indiana's brand new at it, so I think you're going to see some shots put up today.
We have two young fellows by the name of Birch. We have another young man by the name of Fellows. Willis will be playing quite a bit, and a young fellow by the name of Decato, or D'Amico. These are squads, experienced young men on this team. They're not to be taken lightly.
They upset Montana for the Big Sky Championship last year in the tournament, and then St. John's beat them in the tournament, so they had a better ending last year than we did. Let's see what happens.
All right, and that's what we'll do. We'll be back with the starting lineup in just a minute.
Once in a great while.
Okay, you guys. Everybody on a motorcycle. Hey, Mel, come on.
He was soon to be a legend. He was soon to be a star.
Come on up.
Worked his magic.
And they're off. Uncle Babyface Lewis is in trouble. He's fishtailing. Wait, he's got it back. Oh, no! Baker's just blown his engine.
When he worked his magic, you believe.
It's Hot Shoes and Babyface. They're neck and neck. Hot Shoes, come on. It's Babyface Lewis!
Movie star James Dean, another Indiana legend, brought to you with pride by Farm Bureau Insurance.
Howdy. Give me a light. Bud Light.
If you just ask for a light beer, you never know what you'll get.
Give me a light. Bud Light.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Give me a light. Bud Light.
Ask for Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
Hi. Oh. Buy your friend a beer.
Why do some people seem better informed, more knowledgeable? They seem to be on the inside of how it all works, internationally, nationally, and right here in Indianapolis. Well, they are better informed. They're bright, star bright, because they start every day with the Indianapolis Star. You can start every day on the inside. Call 633-9211 to subscribe. Be star bright. Be on the inside.
Montana State is coached by Stu Starner. He's the Big Sky Coach of the Year, John. And, of course, we have a former Big Ten and National Coach of the Year, Bob Knight, right here. So it's going to be a battle of good friends, I might add, too. And we'll talk more about that later. Both teams are ready. Let's go down to our public address announcer, Chuck Crabb, for the starting lineups.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Indiana University welcomes you to the Assembly Hall and the start of our 1986-87 season. The starting lineups now for today's game. For the Bobcats from Montana State, at one forward, a 6'4" senior from Livingston, Montana, number 22, Crowell Furch. The other forward, a 6'8" junior from Livonia, Michigan, number 35, Tom Domeko. At center for Montana State, a 6'9" sophomore from Choteau, Montana, number 32, Mike Fellows. At one guard, a 6' junior from Dallas, Texas, number 10, Ray Willis. The other starting guard, a 6'2" sophomore from Livingston, Montana, number 15, Shan Furch. The head coach for Montana State, now in his 4th season, Stu Starner. For the Hoosiers of Indiana, starting at one forward today, a 6'6" sophomore from Cincinnati, Ohio, number 20, Rick Callaway. The other starting forward, a 6'7" senior from Westchester, Illinois, number 24, Darrell Thomas. In the middle, a 6'10" junior from San Clemente, California, number 22, Dean Garrett. At one guard, a 6'2" senior from Newcastle, Indiana, number 12, Steve Alford. The other starting guard, a 6'2" junior from Glendale, California, number 44, Joe Hillman. The head coach for Indiana, starting his 16th season in Bloomington, Bob Knight. Ladies and gentlemen, let us pay honor to America. We join now with the IU Pep Band under the direction of Director of Bands Ray E. Kramer and featured vocalist Professor Roy Samuelson. Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.
This is the first meeting of an Indiana University team and the Bob Knight team, for that matter, against a Big Sky opponent. Here's the way they match up today, and it's easy to see right now Crowell Furch and Rick Callaway. Furch probably has to be their best all-around player, John.
Yes, he is. He's a left-handed player. He's kind of slight in build, 6'4", 185 pounds, so it's kind of tough for him to play forward. Willis, you see, he's paired against Alford. Willis is their best defensive player, and their object against Steve will be to deny him the ball. Obviously, that's tough to do. But one thing to watch for in today's game, Chuck, the advantage that Montana State has in playing with the three-point rule last year and talking to their sports information director is they know by looking at the basket whether they're 19.9 feet away from the basket. Indiana will sometimes catch themselves looking down to see if they're at that line. After you've played a year, a good player can see if he's 15 feet away or if he's 19.9 feet away. So as the year goes on, I think you'll see the Indiana kids adjust to that. But watch Montana State. They won't have to look at that line. They can tell if they're behind it or not, and they want to be behind it.
Indiana will have a height advantage, but don't let that deceive you. This is a very quick-moving, with the ball and without the ball, Montana State team. Gary Muncy, Big Ten official, set to toss it up, and it does fall to Indiana. Fortunately, the ball had touched the floor. Indiana would have committed its first turnover on the tip. This is Callaway. Now let's watch how they match up going around as Thomas puts it off the glass. And the rebound goes to Dean Garrett.
Coach has mentioned Dean Garrett has really come along a lot quicker than anybody had hoped, and that's a great thing for Dean. He's picked up the offense, and there you see him pick up the first basket.
Now there's Perch with his left-handed shot. The outlet comes up to Alford. Indiana very quickly down the floor. Do they feel, John, they have to get it down before Montana State gets set up?
Well, I think this is a quicker team than last year, and Coach is going to want to take advantage of situations that he can. If the fast break is there, he's going to want to take it. And Montana State will also run. I expect a high-scoring game today.
Joe Hillman handling the ball, his first start for Indiana. He was redshirted last year from Glendale, California. Loose ball, and we have a jump under the Indiana basket, and on alternate possession, it goes to the Bobcats.
I think you'll see Joe Hillman, a different type of player than what the fans may remember. He's come on as quite a leader. He'll handle the ball a lot. He'll set Steve Alford and the rest of the players up. And Joe knows his job out there. It's just a matter of getting it done this whole year for Indiana.
Shanford's number 15. 35 is D'Amico. There's a good turnaround. Oh, that ball was down in the hole and out. Perch tries the rebound, tipped in by D'Amico.
Stu Starner mentioned in the pregame that he thought the rebounding would be a hurt to Montana State, but right there they stayed after it.
Alford turns around, squares up, three-pointer, had it gone. This game is tied at 2. We're in the opening minutes. From Assembly Hall in Bloomington, Indiana, the Fighting Bobcats of Montana State. And a whistle stops the action underneath. We have an illegal pick. A block called against Mike Fellows, his first, and the team first.
An interesting battle inside. There you see the Montana State center, Fellows. Both he and Garrett are in their first. Garrett's in his first year. Fellows is a sophomore, but their first time are really playing a lot at the college level. So this will be their first game. They'll go at each other today.
Ted Valentine, the official, giving the ball to Thomas on the inbound. The officials, Gary Muncie, Mike Stockner, and Valentine. Galloway pulls up short, a little soft shot from about 14 feet. And Rick puts Indiana in front by 2.
What a great year he had last year. And there you see a quick bucket early this year. Anticipating another good year from Rick Galloway.
Perch underneath. Fellows has it knocked away by Thomas. Alford with the steal and is stolen right back. Ray Willis and an easy basket. And up high in the air, Carl Perch, 6'4", but he can lead. And he ties it at 4.
You can see the Montana State players are very excited to be here at Indiana. They know all about the program, and they're very anxious to get here and show what they can do. Of course, this game being telecast back to Montana.
Thomas puts it up. He's fouled as he goes to the hoop. D'Amico has the assignment defensively against Thomas. And he gets the foul.
A big difference this year for Daryl Thomas will be Dean Garrett, because now that Garrett's in the lineup, that moves Thomas to a forward. And instead of having the biggest player on the other team guard Daryl, as he moves to forward, now he gets a forward to guard him. And there you saw the situation. Daryl's bigger than the player guarding him. He can turn right to the basket and score. So this should help Daryl Thomas this year. He connects on the three-point play.
Indiana's 7-4, loose ball. Possession maintained by the Bobcats. This is Willis, three-point range. Wheels off, tries to lay it off on the inside, and a reach-in foul is going to be called against Indiana. And that goes against Garrett, his first. Garrett, near the 6'11" range from San Clemente, California, has had a good start, as John indicated.
Got a little sloppy there on that block. As we mentioned in the past years when Uwe played here, you've got to wait till that ball leaves the guard's hand before you go up to knock it away. And that time Dean came up with a foul because the guard still had the ball in his hand. He comes up with a good steal there on the inbound.
Montana State trying to backdoor on the inbound. Layoff and a foul away from the pass itself, but right on the ball, and it's going to be called on Crowell Furch. Furch from Livingston, Montana. And again, as we said, he's probably their most complete ball player. 46% shooter from the field, 81% from the line. And he does his share of rebounding, averaging nearly 4 last year. Tillman tries to take it through the middle. And they get the break of the ball. Indiana will work it out again. Sticky little man being played by Montana State. Alford's shot misses. We have a foul. Willis, and Alford is down. Normally, he hops right back. Let's see whether or not he twisted something.
That was a push after the shot, so that basket would have counted. Indiana would have got the ball, but it's called after the shot. Let's see what happens. Steve's coming out, turns. He missed that shot, so it's out of bounds to Indiana because Montana State's not over the limit, although that is their 4th foul. Montana State with a 4-2 rebound advantage over Indiana. Again, Coach Starner was worried about that, and it looks like his team's done well early in the game.
Hillman tries to rub Shanford off, but the ball alertly passed into Callaway, and there's Alford on the feet from the top.
That's what Joe Hillman can do to help Steve this year. As Steve comes off the pick, it's Hillman's job to look for him. He threw that lob cross-court pass. Steve had it, and there was no one around.
Bobcats moving the ball well outside. 3-point range, and the rebound to the white shirts underneath. Here's the outlet. Hillman drives and scores. All 5 starters for Indiana having scored, John.
There's a good example of Alford leading the break that time. Hillman getting down. Look how quick the hands are. Good play by Darrell.
And the pass up court intended for Darrell as Alford looked left and threw right. It's out of bounds. Turnover. Big turnover for Indiana, but nonetheless, they're very aggressive. Both teams aggressive at both ends.
Coach and I just called Steve over. Settle down now. That's a 3-on-1 fast break, and you can just feel the momentum going. There's the IU bench, and you've got to be careful with that pass. Steve should have made that play.
Jan Furch drives on Hillman. Foul on Hillman. And I think we're going to have a timeout. Waiting for the official to make the call. It is. Timeout, 15:52 left first half. You're watching Indiana basketball on the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network. Indiana leads Montana State by 7.
Opportunity only knocks once. And when it knocked at my door, I needed a loan to answer. So I looked to the bank that makes it easy to get a loan. The one that offers more lending choices than anybody. To loan me what I need in a way that's easy to handle. I look to American Fletcher.
AFMD. Get the right loan for the right reason right away.
I got the loan advantage.
You're shaving with coal.
Coal? I'm shaving with my electric razor.
And it takes coal to produce that electricity.
Never thought of it like that.
Coal generates more than half the electricity in the United States. It takes coal to fix your breakfast, tune in, and turn on. In fact, on the average, every American uses 3 tons of coal each year. Amex Coal Company, powering your world.
Crowell Furch and Tom D'Amico, the only 2 to score for the Bobcats. It's 11-4, and turnovers sort of spell a difference here, John.
Quite a bit for both teams. 4 and 3. There's only 4 minutes gone in the game, and I think both coaches will be disappointed. Indiana shooting 5 of 8 at 62%. Montana State just 2 of 6, but those turnovers have bothered both coaches.
Common foul against Indiana's Joe Hillman gives Montana State the ball out. Here's a lob feed underneath the Fellows. His hook shot misses. And over the back foul is going to be called against Crowford. That's his second.
One thing Montana State's taking advantage of is the fact Dean Garrett's playing behind the center, which is Fellows. So Montana State's been able to get the ball in easily to Fellows, and then Dean starting to play the defense, and Fellows has not made the shots. But if he continues to let the ball get in there, it could become a good sign for Montana State.
Alford tries to work it through, does. Sort of forces the shot. Well, we see him do that so often.
He's got great body control, and I think Steve's attitude this year is that he's a senior, and everybody's expecting a lot out of him. He is himself, so he's going to create things like that, as you saw in the last play.
Willis's shot off the rim, and Indiana back down once again, attacking the basket. Thomas with a turnaround. Knocked away. Montana State up with the ball and out quickly to Furch. Here's Willis inside the 3 range. It just won't fall. Block. And a foul. And that's going against Montana State. I think one of the indications that Indiana fans, and incidentally our game's going back into the Montana area, but you fans back there can witness too, we're seeing it really for the first time, is Dean Garrett's ability to go up, block, go right back up again, look for possession of the ball.
Well, he's got that quick jump. Now watch the shot. Good pressure by Steve. And Dean's out of position. But then he comes right back, blocks the shot, and still has time to come back for the rebound. Fellows with the foul. So there's the difference in center last year. It's good for Indiana as Darryl Thomas can move to forward now, and Garrett takes that center position.
Garrett, a junior college transfer from San Clemente, California, went to San Francisco Junior College, City College, actually. And here he is trying to move inside, forces it up. And on weak side, there's the help. And that's Darryl Thomas's 5th point.
Now, there again, Chuck, if Darryl Thomas takes that shot from the center, there's a smaller player on the weak side for that rebound. Now that Garrett's the center, he's taking that shot. It's really going to be a big advantage for Indiana.
Good move by Perch, but it won't fall. They bring him all the way from the help side of the floor. Lays it off. Thomas back out to Hillman. And Callaway with that quick step draws the foul.
Great passing there. As you saw, Alford fake that three-point shot and kind of set the defense in trouble. And the pass goes all the way around the horn. Now watch what happens. The pass goes to Darryl, across to Joe. And Montana State comes to help. He goes to Rick. And then the baseline's open. The help finally comes, but not before the foul.
Timeout here at Indiana. With 14-14 remaining, you're watching Indiana basketball on the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network. Indiana leads 15-4.
Looking for the right store could be a wild goose chase. Without the complete shopping guide, Ameritech Pages Plus, you might find yourself looking for something in all the wrong places. Lose all sense of direction. Arrive too late and come back empty-handed. Why leave yourself open to all that? Just open the book, Ameritech Pages Plus. Next to the phone, there's nothing better.
All the right parts in all the right places. Napa's putting smiles on American faces.
It's the worst sound you'll ever hear. Don't let it happen to you. Replace your old battery with the power from Napa. Strong enough to carry a 6-year warranty. On sale now, just $49.95. Save 50% on Napa Belden battery cables, too. Don't get stuck. Get the power from Napa.
All the right parts in all the right places. Napa.
15-4 with 14-14 remaining in the first half. Indiana jumping on that lead very, very quickly after being tied at 4 and blowing it open right here.
Well, it's 7-4, so that's 8 points in a row now for Indiana to bring it to 15-4. Montana State's just 1 of 5 in the last 2 minutes and 40 seconds. There's a good look at Coach Knight. That's a Montana State sweater he's wearing, and he loves, of course, to hunt and fish there in the summer times. In fact, he went about a month and a half ago back to Montana State, to Bozeman, and spoke before the Montana State Booster Club, a crowd of 500 there, anxious to hear what Coach had to say. So that's the connection on how Montana State got here. The other one is, as Callaway makes a free throw, Montana State's Coach Starner was an assistant coach at Minnesota under Jim Dutcher back in the early 80s, so he's familiar with the Big Ten Conference.
You see Keith Smart, substitution for Indiana. A couple of substitutions. Clayman Jacobs, number 50, was the one that fouled Callaway at the and put him at the line that last time. The other is Chris Conway, number 11, a 6'2 junior from Dallas. There's the turnaround by Jacobs, and he sort of increases the post effectiveness of the Bobcats with his presence out there. Indiana playing a high offense. 13:47 left in the first half. The Hoosiers lead 16-6.
This was called in the timeout. You see Garrett right at the free throw line. This will set up some back picks. Keith Smart in the game now, number 23. Not worried. He does have a brace, looks like, on that left thigh. He pulled that thigh muscle in the warm-up for the Russian game. It's been out about a week and a half since that game. 10 seconds on the shot clock.
Into Callaway, and it won't drop. Rebound, Conway. They bring it up quickly. D'Amico has it partially blocked. Out of bounds, it will belong to Montana State.
Pretty good defense by the Bobcats the last time down the floor. Indiana had to force that shot. Watch Dean Garrett.
We'll see this a lot this year. There's a good, clean block. He didn't commit the foul. Ball goes out of bounds to Montana State.
DeMaco pumps, draws the foul. Thomas will pick up his first. And a shooting violation will send Tom DeMaco, 6'8" junior from Livonia, Michigan, to the line to shoot 2. 76% effective from the stripe. Last year's statistics. And averaging nearly 5 rebounds a game. Montana State defeated by St. John's last year in the NCAA first round, 83-74. It certainly does not belie the way Coach Stu Starner brought this team along during the year.
See DeMaco at the line. Actually, he's their best three-point shooter, so don't be surprised even at 6'8" if you see him come down and try that three-point shot.
DeMaco hits both. He has 4. And the Bobcats try to work their way back and put on a little pressure. The pressure is released, however, as Callaway gets it across the line. Shot by Alford is no good. He has not fired too well from outside. Look at this. Here's Smart with the steal. And they call the foul on Smart as he turned his body back into Conway, who had picked up position.
Against the press, Indiana goes right to a three-point shot against Alford, but this time he can't get it. It looked like he was a little left that time. And Montana State just falls down. Smart picks it up. Right there, a good chance to dish the ball to Garrett, but Smart takes it in and commits the foul.
First foul on Key, 16-8. Montana State very deliberately trying to work its way back into the game. Shot by Purchase, no good. Rebound. And the follow. Here comes Indiana.
Here's the high offense again. Garrett in the middle there. He's trying to set a pick for Steve. They're trying to get a back cut, something low. Smart.
Callaway. His substitution for Indiana. The next first ball. Steve Isle. The Hoosiers trying to work the clock down, play a little more deliberately, but they're looking for that one good shot. Now 7 seconds to Alford. He draws up inside the line. No good. Tipped up and in by Thomas. And it's 18-8. Conway to DeMaco, has it knocked away. Montana State playing its form of deliberate ball. Look at that block. I'll tell you, Garrett just shows you an awful lot here. Here's a turn back to the basket by Thomas. I think Garrett's biggest asset is he has an excellent timing to the ball, John.
Well, I mentioned before, he picked up that first foul by swatting the ball while the player still had it. Now watch this time. The ball leaves the player's hand, and now he goes after the ball. That's how you don't commit that foul. And look how he keeps the ball in bounds. I think it's been a long time since Indiana fans have seen a shot blocker, but here early in the game, we've seen Dean Garrett prove what he can do blocking those shots as long as he can stay out of foul trouble. And then down at the other end, Darryl Thomas on the free throw line.
Darryl 76% from the stripe in 1985-86 from Westchester, Illinois. Produced a lot of great basketball talent up there. And there's another one sitting on the bench that hasn't had a chance to play yet, Tony Freeman. Substitution, Steve Isle for Thomas. Isle from Hamilton, Ohio. Mr. Basketball over there 3 years ago. Conway takes it down baseline, makes a good little drop off, and there it is, blocked again. Up to the line. That's the way to quiet the crowd. Shan Furch, his first field goal. The crowd's younger brother gets pay dirt. Alford loses the ball. Here he comes again. Shan lays it off to Crawl. Misses the shot, tipped up and in. Give that basket to DeMaco.
That's Montana State's game. They're down 8 now, but they like to run and create things. Steve with the turnover that time. Indiana with the ball.
Keith Smart. Yes, sir. Smart's another one of these young men that you see really when he wants the ball, he knows he wants to do something with it.
That time he sure did. He's also a pretty good defensive player. Watch how he moves his feet when he's guarding his man.
Well, Furch used an elbow, but Callaway was moving and really couldn't get back in front of him. So that's a good call by Gary Muncy, and the first foul against Rick Callaway. The 5th against Indiana, so the Hoosiers still have not put Montana State in the 1-and-1, and Indiana will be shooting its next trip to the line.
Well, Chuck, we're not quite 10 minutes into the game. Dean Garrett has 5 rebounds, a steal, and 4 block shots already.
Callaway got up to block that one. That high lob pass looked like an alley-oop. Down to the baseline, and a blocking foul will be called against Montana State. That's D'Amico, his second.
So that is 7, so I think we're going to be in a 1-on-1 now the rest of the way of the half for Indiana. Isle will be at the line.
Isle has had his problems with his shooting, and I think basically they've been trying to change the technique of his shot a little bit to make him more consistent, John.
Violation 22 here.
Right. Coach mentioned a similar fact to that over at the Iman's tip-off lunch in Indianapolis on Wednesday, and that Steve Isle is just a great athlete, and when he's out there playing on the floor, he's got to use the athletic ability in a basketball sense, and they've been working on his form, trying to get him to become a better shooter, as you see him make that free throw. But you got to have him out there on the floor because he's a great athlete, and there's so many players. If they can do one thing well, there's a place for them in the lineup, and that's what this team needs to do. They need to get 7 or 8 or 9 players who can each contribute a little bit. You can keep shuffling that lineup, and that's the way to really build a good team.
Well, he got new life on the lane violation on the 1-and-1. So with those 2 free throws, Indiana's built its lead to 13 again, 25-12, with 10 minutes remaining in the first half. Conway looking inside. Now comes to Jacob, and it's stolen by Isle. Here it is, 3-on-1 fast break, and Isle takes it right to the cup. Misses the shot, and the rebound, D'Amico clears it out to Furch, who will fire from the line. Once again, Indiana.
Quick pace by Indiana. 10 minutes gone in the game, and every time they can, they're fast breaking up the floor.
Furch, as Smart gets the basket, Furch very alertly is going behind Alford and making that steal. He's knocking the ball away.
Well, every team we play, or Indiana plays this year, Chuck, is going to be keying on Steve Alford. And as you can see, whenever Steve's got the ball, everybody's trying to put the D on him.
Steve alertly turned back to the block by Callaway, to the basket, and a foul. And that's going to be against Jacobs. His third will send Alford back to the line to shoot. As once again, Stu Starner goes to his bench, and we'll see Mike Fellows.
Drive by Steve this time. Watch how he uses his body to protect the shot so it doesn't get blocked. Just bumped enough so that it wouldn't go in. That's how he used 7th steal, the 3rd by Steve Alford.
Shan Furch is taking a breather. Ray Willis and Conway both in the lineup now. Callaway comes to the bench, and we see Dave Miner from Cincinnati, a freshman for Indiana.
Another player of the year from Ohio. But to take a look at the lineup now, Chuck, as compared to last year, of course, Steve Alford in the game, but 3 new faces. Dean Garrett, who wasn't here, Dave Miner, and Keith Smart, all 3 new players, and Steve Isle. So the unique thing about this year's team could be an ability to play those 7, 8, 9 players. That way, if somebody gets hurt, somebody's sick, somebody's in foul trouble, whatever the case may be, Indiana can still be a contender. So Coach has used as many lineups as he can here early in the game.
Alford takes a rest. And back in the lineup is Joe Hillman. So at the guards, it'll be Hillman and Smart for Indiana. Isle, along with Dave Miner, and the big fellow Dean Garrett. Out to the right side is Chris Conway for his first field goal.
Not enough pressure that time. Keith Smart let a right-handed player go to his right and simply take a shot. No passes. Got to play tougher defense in that.
Miner, a highly talented freshman. Here's a steal over the back of Isle. D'Amico with a good alert play to the ball. They work it in. And a whistle. And Miner Just beaten by that very quick first step of Crowell Furch. Draws the foul.
3 plays in a row now. A quick shot by Montana that goes, a turnover by Indiana, and now a foul. Indiana not over the bonus yet. That's the 6th, so no free throws. But you can see how quickly a game can change. There's 3 plays in a row, and all of them went toward Montana State.
Conway tries to work it in. There's Garrett.
Saw Dean fronting that time. He's not playing behind anymore, but fronting, and that time came up the steal. Good play.
Minor looking. Back to Minor. Gets it right back and fires it up soft off the front rim. Willis travels.
It's a real test for Indiana with Alford out of the game. Of course, Indiana's always looking to Steve to try to get the shot. There's the turnovers, and now Montana State with 9. With Steve out of the lineup, you need to have a leader out there. You need to have somebody who's willing to take that shot.
Indiana works against this in practice all the time. They try to keep the ball motion. And Smart. Once again, Indiana not getting the ball up to the rim. Here's Conway. Oh, that's a beautiful shot. Chris Conway just rolls that up into the square. His second field goal and 4th point. 29-16, the Hoosiers.
Another thing I think we'll see, Chuck, on that 3-point play is long rebounds. There you saw that shot missed. Came way out past the free throw line and ends up in a fast break for the opponent.
Here's Hillman. Joe Hillman, who shows more and more confidence every day. That red shirt year last year, John, really helped him.
Yes, it will. It really brought out his leadership qualities. Of course, you know, he's a great scorer in high school, but right now we need him. Indiana needs him for leadership. Good rebound.
Intimidation by Garrett, and he gets back for the rebound. Smart takes it to the hoop. The basket will count, and a foul.
There's a little bit of what Keith Smart can do. Of course, you know, he's a junior college transfer from Kansas, junior college in Kansas. A good one-on-one player and a great leaper. Watch him now. He takes his man in. Didn't get real high on that shot, but somehow got that basket to fall. So I think you'll see a different style now for Indiana with Smart in the game. You've already seen him make a 3-point shot. And there you saw him drive to the basket, drawing a 3-point play.
Ray Willis committed the foul, and Ray sits down as Shanford checks back in. Here's Smart. Deep off the rim. 6:51 remaining. Conway, D'Amico. Oh, yes.
I see, pretty good form. He's 6'8", but pretty good form from the outside.
Garrett makes the save in the corner. 33-18. Hoosiers working it around. Now's the time with a lead like this, John, to try to enforce your system, whatever you're playing. There's a knockaway by Furch. Very quick hands. Furch has a good sense of how to reach around and come for the ball. And we have a timeout with 6:17 remaining in the first half. You're watching Indiana basketball on the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network. It's Indiana 33, Montana State 18.
Ever dream about retirement? Lots of sunshine, warm ocean breezes, golf and sailing almost every day. Well, let me tell you, it takes a lot of money to retire this way. Social Security won't pay for it. Most pension programs won't cover it either. So, stop your dreaming and start planning. Talk to your Farm Bureau insurance agent about an IRA. Believe me, it'll be worth it.
One of the nicest gifts I ever got was you as a second dad.
No excuses. I was wrong.
Some of the best times I ever had were with you.
One card company takes the words right out of your mouth, the feelings right out of your heart. American Greetings introduces In Touch cards. Get to the heart of it. Get in touch.
Look for these and other fine products at your neighborhood Hooks dependable drugstore.
33-18 the score is 6:17 remaining first half. Joe Smith handed me a note Indiana's biggest lead occurred at the 9-10 mark when they led the Fighting Bobcats 29-12. That's a margin of 17. You can see the shooting pretty much bears that out. 52-33.
You see Magnus Pelkowski, number 14, in the lineup now, 6'10". Again, another player who has improved with that redshirt year last year.
Pelkowski going for the ball. And D'Amico at 6'8" out-rebounds him, had the position. Conway picked his dribble up. You could hear Joe Hillman calling that the ball had been taken off the floor. The dribble had been used up. D'Amico in the corner to Perch. It won't fall. Rebound on the offside to Pelkowski. From Bogota, Colombia. Alford back in. There's a hook by Garrett. Won't fall.
Off balance that time on that jump hook shot.
Oh, that's great move by Perch. And a reach over by Pelkowski. Stops the action underneath the Montana State basket. Magnus's first foul for Bogota, Colombia. Will put Montana State at the line.
Coach Starner talking to the Montana State players on the bench. Looked like Dean Garrett might have tipped that ball on the block shot. But as he comes out to block the shots, that leaves the rebounding open. Montana State took advantage of it.
It's hard to tell. Garrett didn't even go up to extend his arm on that rebound. It's hard to tell if this boy really wants to jump how high he can go. Indiana with Alford and Hillman. And Miner turns it over.
Good cut right into the middle. That's really where you can hurt a team, but he had traveled. Took an extra step there, the turnover to Montana State.
Now Callaway back in for Indiana, replacing Hillman. Coaches are good friends. Coach Starner gave Knight a fishing jacket the other day with his initials embossed on it. And you know that Coach is going to be using that.
Probably in Montana next summer.
About 3 or 4 years ago, they made him honorary governor of the state of Montana. I don't know whether he asked for the streets to be stocked any more than what they already are stocked naturally, but you know, Coach, he probably has something to say. Coach Knight and Starner are excellent friends. Very good friends. Pelkowski. And Alford puts his shoulder down, but they call the block against Shan Perch. 4:37.
Indiana using several different lineups. And Coach mentioned it's going to take 10 games before he really knows what this team, which way this team is best way to go is. So he's going to use a lot of different lineups here in December. Try to get the team to stabilize and feel each other out, not only their opponents but themselves. See which way the best way for them to go is. So early in the year, we'll see a lot of different substitutions.
Pelkowski reaching across on the rarely missed free throw opportunity of Steve Alford. That's Pelkowski's second.
Personal foul, Indiana. Number 14, Magnus Pelkowski, is second personal.
And looking over at Steve, Steve's disturbed with himself missing that shot. He takes great pride in his effort at the free throw line. Averaged 91% last year Big Ten play, although his overall season was about 87.
He's still the leading all-time free throw percentage shooter in a season and in a career for Indiana, Chuck. So with another good year, 85, 90%, he will end his career that way for Indiana.
Clayman Jacobs misses the second. And it comes right back in the hands of Perch, tipped up. Now finally pulled down by Callaway.
Montana State's really done the job. DeMacco has 8 rebounds, Dean Garrett 7, but Montana State still leads 16-14 now in rebounds.
Miner playing the point. Inside to Garrett. And back out to Alford. 3 on the way. Yes.
Steve wanted to foul that time as he was knocked down after that shot, but it goes as 3 points.
36-19. Hoosiers back to a 17-point lead. D'Amico. And it won't fall. Tipped away by Callaway. And now he'll walk it up. Montana State back quickly. State won the Big Sky last year with a 6-8 record. This is the shot. D'Amico clears. And the offensive foul, not watching. And Alford just sacrificed his body as Sean Birch, as he turned to go up court, just ran right into it.
So you follow Gary Muncie. The rule states you have to give the player a couple feet there, at least a step. And Steve did that time and drew the foul. And cheers. Brian Sloan, 45, comes into the game for Magnus Pelkowski.
And Alford sits down as well. Todd Meyer in the lineup for Indiana. We have a timeout with 3:25 left in the first half. You're watching Indiana basketball from Assembly Hall in Bloomington, where the score reads Indiana 36, Montana State 19.
Coach, how many of your games have been won or lost right here at the foul line?
Well, we've won a few and lost a few.
So shooting straight is pretty important, right?
It can be absolutely critical.
And I try to shoot straight with our customers, like telling them about this new user-friendly NEC VCR, the latest innovation with on-screen display.
Beckley, you're amazing.
You think so?
If you're playing for me, your straight shooting would be just breakaway layups.
And let us not forget Cleveland State.
Give me a light. Bud Light. If you just ask for a light beer, you never know what you'll get.
Pitcher of light.
Bud Light.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Give me a light.
Ask them to bring out their best.
Bud Light.
Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
3:25 left in the first half. Indiana, after a 4-4 tie, broke it open. And they have continued to hold on to a substantial lead. Alford again as Birch tries to draw a charging foul. And I think Brian Sloan felt that Conway might have touched the ball. Gary Muncie says no. So the turnover gives the ball to the Bobcats with 3:17 left.
Todd Meyer, number 30, now in the lineup. Dean Garrett taking a break.
Meyer with the task of trying to front Clayman Jacobs. Off the rim, no good. Callaway out quickly. It comes to Alford and makes the save. Leans in and draws the foul. And I think Shanford's just, and maybe rightly so, because he hasn't seen all the moves that Alford can put at him, just wonders what he has to do.
Well, Steve's just creating the offense here. Good help by Todd Meyer. The shot's missed. Quick outlet that time, but Steve really doesn't come up with it well on the dribble. There you see it knocked away. He holds that pivot foot well. Now he's trying to draw that foul, and there he does.
Substitution, Montana State, Ray Willis.
Montana State's Ray Willis back in, and this time sporting a bandage on his left thigh. Unless I have not been observing, that's been just recently added, maybe during that last time out. He's probably pulled up a bruise on that leg. We'll wait and see if we can find out more. Alford has 11. 4 of those coming at the stripe, 4 for 5. Birch underneath, blocked away, and right back into the trouble on the court, and a scramble and a jump ball. It will be awarded to Indiana as the white jerseys are all over the court. Let's look
That
again,
brings
John.
some cheers, and that's good hustle. The staff, coaching staff likes to see this. Good block by Callaway. Now look, how many players go down on the floor? There's Sloan. Miner was down there. Meyer got there. Indiana comes over the ball. Well worth the effort.
I think this is something we saw in the Russian game that impressed us greatly, John. The fact that Indiana was willing to go down on the floor to get the ball.
They've got to be a scrappy team, and it can be tough to beat when you play like that.
Cut by Callaway, a little whirling pivot shot, doesn't fall. D'Amico. Oh, he gets the bounce of the ball, Tom D'Amico. And he has 10, the junior from Livonia, Michigan. Alford takes it right through, finger rolls it up.
Oh, good move that time. That's the confidence Steve has this year. He cuts between two men and then a little finger roll to get the basket.
D'Amico bounces inside and soft off the glass. Clayman Jacobs with his second field goal. Whistle stops the action at the other end, and we have a charging foul called against Indiana's Steve Alford. Mike Starner making the call. First foul on Alford. And Keith Smart back in for Indiana, replacing Minor. So Dave getting some good experience playing in his first game as a collegian. Tom D'Amico to the Montana State bench. And Steve Snodgrass, a 6'8" junior from Peoria, is in the lineup now. D'Amico is, I guess he was just over to talk to Coach Starner for a moment.
Can't take him out, Chuck. He's got 10 rebounds now, 2 assists and a steal, so he's been holding his own in there.
Ray Willis, 6' junior from Dallas. 67% from the line, misses the second, so he's 1 for 2 on that trip.
There you saw Keith Smart get up a little bit for that rebound.
Off to Alford, and Alford just lays it behind a cutting Keith Smart.
Again, Steve Alford thought that ball was tipped, but just a little miscommunication there. Smart and Alford have not played that long together. But as the year goes on, that play should be able to happen. If Steve gets double teamed, he knows Keith will be open.
Crawford to Conway, inside to D'Amico, hand on the ball, but a foul, and it will go against Indiana.
Personal foul, Indiana.
The foul is on Callaway, his second. Stepping to the strike, he came in just a moment ago.
Number 44,
Steve Snodgrass from Peoria, Illinois.
Thank you. On a release, guys. One.
Crowd has quieted down a little bit, a little more passive. Normally, Indiana crowds like to follow their team in front or behind, but with a 15-point lead, I think the crowd is just sort of sitting back, waiting for the fire to be lighted.
Oh, it is a good crowd, too, Chuck. Looking up to the balconies, pretty near a full house today.
Being a holiday weekend, many of the students are not on campus. That even speaks more favorably of the Indiana fans. Snodgrass with his first field goal. And it's 40-27. That foul will go against Montana State. Ray Willis.
That's a play we'll see a lot this year, Chuck. I noticed it in practice. The players call it a flare, where Brian Sloan that time will come up to the free throw line extended on either side, and Steve Alford will come down, fake in the middle, and flare out toward the sideline. He'll get a pick that time from Sloan, and they're looking for a lob pass to Steve right near that three-point line so he can take that shot. That time, Sloan had his position and drew the foul.
Brian misses the first of a 1-and-1. Snodgrass clears it for the Bobcats with 49 seconds remaining in the first half. It's been Indiana's half, 40-27. Shot is up short. Brian Sloan clears it out to Smart, who pulls up and fires, misses the shot, but draws the foul.
There you saw the extension on Keith Smart's jump shot that time as he went high over Conway, who was 6'2". And Keith Smart listed at 6'1". So again, the leaping ability there. He'll get a chance for the free throw. Montana State had run off 6 straight points until that free throw by Smart. Indiana now 11 out of 15 from the free throw line.
Smart's second is good. He has 8. Indiana once again builds its lead to 15, 42-27. 30 seconds remain, first half.
Birch
to D'Amico. Conway inside the Snodgrass, behind the basket for two.
Indiana had trouble last year, Chuck, as you remember, scoring the last basket of the half. Let's see what happens now. 9 seconds to go in the half.
And a steal. Off the bad pass by Callaway, and the last 2 points are going to go to Montana State as Ray Willis took it in on the solo. So we've come to the end of the first half of play here at Assembly Hall in Bloomington with the score: Indiana 42, Montana State's Fighting Bobcats 31, and fighting they are. We'll be back to check individual scoring in just a minute.
40-21.
We like to see you smile, that feeling, good feeling, that smile on your face.
You're right, kid. I may be new at this, but I'm catching on fast. And when I don't know the answers, I just ask someone who does.
Nothing's more important than your good health. So don't hesitate to ask Hooks for answers to your health care questions. We're here to help.
We like to see you smile.
It takes a lot of coal to run this company.
Coal? This is an office, not a factory. All our machines are electric.
And it takes coal to produce that electricity.
Never thought of it like that.
Coal generates more than half the electricity in the United States. It takes coal to make your computer compute, the typewriter type. In fact, on the average, every American uses 3 tons of coal each year. Amex Coal Company, powering your world.
No matter what you do this holiday season, you'll want to stop and take time out for Highland's Holiday Sale with some of the lowest prices of the year. Like this GE 9-inch portable color TV, just $134, save $45. And this pack of 4 BASF videotapes for just $17.44. Get 1 tape free from BASF. End cost $3.49. Highland's Holiday Sale ends Monday night, so don't be left out in the cold.
On December 31st, 1986, the country's tax laws change. If you buy your Cadillac before then, you'll earn significant tax deductions not available next year. You can deduct sales tax. You can deduct 100% of your 1986 loan interest. And for a typical Cadillac used in business, you may be able to depreciate twice as fast if you purchase this year. See your accountant. Then, see your Lockhart Cadillac and Tutwiler Cadillac dealer. Remember, December 31st is your last day to make a brilliant deduction.
Dr. Tavel's Premium Optical is having the contact lens sale of the year. $19.86 is all you pay for soft mate daily or extended wear lenses.
Well, the halftime score is 42-31 Indiana with the 11-point lead, at one time a 17-point lead. And the last 2.5 minutes of play here, John, certainly will give Coach Knight a lot to talk about during this rest period.
Well, that's right, Chuck. It was 40-21 with 2:02 left in the half. Montana State then went on the 10-2 rampage to bring the score the way it was. Indiana's only scored 9 points now in the last 6 minutes and 17 seconds. So a pretty good game up till then, and then kind of fell apart there. I'm sure Coach will discuss it at halftime.
Any observations that you see that where Indiana was lax?
Really, it's just concentration, Chuck. They played pretty well the first half, a few mistakes, but overall all right. And then they let Montana State back in the ball game. And now Montana State goes in, thinking we're 11 down. We can come right back here, first 5 minutes, get back in the ball game. So it really makes a big difference.
A couple of former Indiana players, teammates of yours.
There's Steve Alfeld on the left, Steve Green in the middle. That's Ray Green, Steve's dad. I'm sure Steve's, look at that look of concern on Green's face. He knows what's going on in that locker room at halftime.
You do too, you're just not telling. Tonight will be the second session of the Indiana Coca-Cola Classic in women's basketball here at Assembly Hall. At 6 o'clock, Indiana State and Kent State face off in the consolation. Indiana and Dayton will play for the championship at 8 o'clock. Last night, Indiana defeated Kent State 73-60. Arna Abram led the Hoosiers with 26. So if you get a chance, you're around the Bloomington area, you might want to see that game tonight. Indiana Coca-Cola Classic in women's basketball. We have an interesting halftime for you today. Today's game between Indiana and Montana State is being played at Assembly Hall in Bloomington. The score here at halftime, Indiana 42, Montana State 31.
You're nothing but a fat, lazy cat.
I still hang out with a fat, lazy cat.
He never has appreciated my fine company.
Jim Davis, another Indiana legend.
2 Indiana legends.
Brought to you with pride by Farm Bureau Insurance.
I know my business. And when that business needs a loan, I need a bank with a strong business profile. One that knows it sometimes takes money to spread your wings. And where I can rely on not just one business specialist, but a whole flock of them. I need American Fletcher.
AFNB, the money, the attitude, the team for corporate lending.
I took the business advantage.
This bud's for all that you do.
Today, a landscaper. Tomorrow, a college student. Yep. Finally took your advice, Mike.
You taught him.
Already you're smart.
All you knew. They say he's a lot like you. Yeah, you make America work, and this bud's for you.
Here's to you, Beechwood Age, for that clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
To a future architect. And to a brother who made it possible.
This bud's for you.
I'm Mike Pfeiffer with this Indiana University News Update. Another Thanksgiving is literally under our belts, which means we've entered another holiday season, perhaps the busiest time of the year for Hoosiers and others. Members of the Indiana legislature held their annual organizational session in the state capitol building recently. That same morning, IU President John Ryan presented legislators with copies of a new book entitled The Indiana Way, A State History. The book was written by IU history professor James Madison, who explained to us how the state's past can influence its future.
Well, I do hope the members of the General Assembly of Indiana will read the book. I would hope that they would say as they read this, gee, this isn't all that different from what I'm dealing with now in this session of the General Assembly and what we're going to be dealing with in the next session of the General Assembly. The subjects that concern us today as citizens in Indiana have a past, have a tradition, and that looking at the past, we can understand a little bit better where we are in 1986.
The Christmas season can spell the difference between success and failure for businesses. A few days ago, we spoke with Dan McQuiston, professor of marketing in the IU School of Business and an expert on Christmas retail sales. He says if it seems like the Christmas selling season began a little earlier again this year, you're right, it did.
The retailers are more and more dependent on the Christmas season to bring the people out. And the more they can get the people out earlier, the better it's going to be. Last year was a little different in that the Christmas season was shortened because of the way Thanksgiving fell. You had fewer shopping days between Thanksgiving and Christmas. This year, you're going to have about the usual number, but it was so popular last year bringing Christmas out early that they're probably going to do the same thing this year.
Especially at this time of year, many events are taking place on the university's regional campuses throughout the state. At South Bend, construction is underway on that campus's new library building. Also, IU South Bend has opened a new downtown center in nearby Elkhart. At New Albany tomorrow, the University Chorus and the University Orchestra will present a peace concert at 3:30 in the Hoosier Room. Next Sunday, December 7th, will be the traditional Hanging of the Greens. At Kokomo, prospective students are invited to visit the campus from 1 to 3 o'clock on Friday, December 5th for an orientation program. In Indianapolis, plans for the Pan Am Games are shaping up, and the university is offering special language classes and seminars about Latin American countries. IU will play host to Pan Am athletes and officials next August. At Fort Wayne, look for the Dickens Dinners next Friday and Saturday evenings. The dinners will feature the university singers and will be held in Wald Memorial Union. And finally, here on the Bloomington campus, the School of Music Madrigal Singers will entertain guests for the 38th Annual Madrigal Feast Dinners beginning December 3rd. It's a festive pageant of 16th century revelry and entertainment, and again, will be held in Alumni Hall. That's our Indiana University update for this week. I'm Mike Pfeiffer.
Where the Hoosiers
Hoosiers lead the Bobcats of Montana State 42-31. Let's pause now to hear from our local stations. This is the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network.
Chocolate is scrumptious when it crunches. That's why I love Nestle Crunch.
Milk chocolate, so creamy. Blending Krispies, ooh, so dreamy. Gotta have it, it's so scrumptious. Love that chocolate when it crunches. Crunches! Chocolate is scrumptious when it crunches. That's why I love Nestle Crunch.
Well, money being what it is, I'm tempted to try that. Cut my hair beside Bill.
I don't know.
I say it works just as good. Anyhow, maybe better.
Well, I heard that.
Costs less than either duel or lasso.
Costs less, yeah, if you don't wind up with a mess of foxtail.
Well, you guarantee grass control. It's supposed to be one of the best guarantees in the business.
No kidding?
If you've been very good, maybe this Christmas you'll get to adopt your very own baby pound puppy from Hardee's. Every time you get anything to eat or drink, you can take home one of the babies for a tiny little price. Hardee's has a new one every week. So if you've been very, very good, you just might get all four. How will you know if you've been good enough? You'll just have to wait and see.
We're still waiting for both teams to report back. You can see the clock about 3.5 minutes before the teams will be blown off to start the second half of play. And one of the more interesting statistics that Indiana can look at in the second half is blocked shots, and how many more will Dean Garrett get? Here's one of his big ones, John.
He's got 4 right now. Let's take a look here. Here's the one where the ball's gone from the guard's hand, and then the block's made, and he keeps the ball in bounds. The other thing you got to be careful of is not fouling when you go to block those shots. So Garrett, with just 1 foul, has done a good job. Look at the stats now for the first half. Montana State with 9 more shots than Indiana, just making 33% of them, though. Indiana really cooled off now, just 14 of 30. Indiana's free throws, 12 of 16. That's pretty good. Turnovers were even 11, but as we mentioned, both coaches will feel that's too many, and Montana State with a 1 rebound edge there over Indiana. Not good for Indiana.
John, the statistics very often do not belie what takes place in the dressing room. I know Coach is one of the first to get the halftime stats. They're taken right to him. He knows what to look for, but basically, does he look for the statistic to bear out his critique of what was wrong in the first half?
Well, I think it'll show. I mean, he'll know what to look at. He'll know what the problem is, the rebounding. He's going to look right at that. And see right away that that shouldn't be. I mean, Montana State is a good rebounding team, but Indiana should have the advantage there. 3-point field goals, Chuck, and Indiana's 2 of 5. Montana State just 0 for 1, so not a big play in the game so far.
We'll be set to go here in a minute. Stay tuned now for second half action. We'll be ready right after these messages.
This bud's for all that you do.
Today a landscaper, tomorrow a college student. Yep. Finally took your advice, Mike.
You taught him.
Already you're smart.
All you knew. They say he's a lot like you. Yeah, you make America work, and this bud's for you.
Here's to you, Beechwood Age, for that clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
To a future architect. And to a brother who made it possible.
This bud's for you.
I really like living in Indiana. I like the weather, the people. It's home. And I like doing business at home. That's why I've got Farm Bureau Auto Insurance. I get good coverage, fast claim service, and I'm even saving a few dollars. Yes, sir, it makes me feel real good knowing the money I'm spending for the things I need is staying right here at home.
There's a promise in the country,
a promise that we share.
There's a promise in the city.
You know you'll find us there. No matter where you travel, you'll never be alone. Here's a promise you can carry. You'll always feel at home.
If you're not a AAA member, you're not saving money with our low-cost auto loans. You're not saving money with the lowest possible airfares. Or because you've got our no-fee traveler's checks. You're not saving with AAA's discounted Visa card. Or with our special discount travel tours. Or with any of our 58 services. So become a member. Because if you want to save money with AAA, you've got to join AAA.
Live from Madison Square Garden in New York, don't miss the NIT Preseason Classic, tonight at 9, here on WTTV Channel 4.
Well, there's a great basketball heritage here at the university, Indiana University, as at Montana State. Stu Starner is trying to revive the basketball interests out there. I think he's done an excellent job taking his team to the NCAA last year. As we had mentioned, they lost to St. John's 83-74. Starner is 39-49 in 3 years of coaching, starting his 4th year. He's from Minnesota Morris, graduate in 1965. And really, we haven't said probably as much about this Fighting Bobcat team as we could. They are very tenacious. They live up to their nickname. Tipped up off the board and knocked away, but look at this. They chase it down in the corner, and Steve Snodgrass starting the second half after playing a really sharp 2.5 minutes. They hustle the ball down to the board, but Indiana's height on the missed shot pays off, and the Hoosiers finally collect it.
2 good plays by Dean Garrett that time. He stopped the lob pass and then came up with the rebound, knocked it away so Callaway could pick it up the floor.
Chris Conway really playing a tight game on Steve Alford on the far side. Inside it goes. Garrett off the glass, won't fall. Thomas tries to chase it down, does, and makes the save to Hillman. Garrett, turnaround, won't fall. Here they come. Oh, are they out quickly? Conway right back to Willis, and that's going to be goaltending as Garrett, just a step slow on the play, deflected the ball off the glass.
Here's the play, a 2-on-1. Steve does what he can. And the ball already hit the backboard, so it's goaltending once Dean hits it.
Off his leg, no shot. It's going to be Indiana ball, however, on the foul by Conway, his second.
Personal foul, Montana State, number 11, Chris Conway, is second.
Alford is so threatening anytime he has the ball in his hands, and you try to teach players to stay down on the floor, but if Steve has the sense you're staying down, he goes right around you.
He's looking for that shot. It seemed to me, Chuck, in this game a lot more than he has last year. When he gets the ball, he's looking to create something offensively.
Staying around that three-point range. Hillman into Garrett, misses. Callaway back up and stuff.
Now that's the way to go up with a rebound. You saw Rick gather himself. He knows there's going to be some big players in there. Just goes right up for the stuff. There's DeMaco from the outside.
And that's only 2 points, but DeMaco has 12 now to lead the Bobcats, and they stay right in the hunt. 44-35. Indiana's lead is only 11. Just underway in the second half. It'll be Indiana ball. The crowd in attendance today, 17,101. That is near capacity. Hillman trying to direct the offense. Callaway leans in, score.
That's one thing we saw Callaway do a lot last year, Chuck, was drive that middle and then come up with a soft jump shot. He didn't do a lot in the first half. You saw him come right out here in the second.
Snodgrass has the shot partially blocked, and it's out of bounds to Montana State as Joe Hillman had a hand on the ball with DeMaco going up.
That's part of the quickness that I think this team has more of than last year's. They're able to slap that ball away. That's 2 or 3 times now that even before the ball is at the shooting position, as the player goes up with it, he's been knocked down.
Off the rim from three-point range. Here come the Hoosiers. Thomas inside. Another thing probably, as we can talk here, is some contact, and let's take a look because we have Callaway down, and he is examining. Oh, he's really protecting that left knee. The body is really turned. Snodgrass underneath the ankle, the left ankle. Let's wait to see, because this could be serious. Let's hope not.
Looks like that right knee is Tim Garl. The trainer's out there immediately. May have gotten caught between two players. Got caught between two players and knocked down at the end of that play.
Dr. Brad Bomba, team physician's going to be walking into your picture. There he is. Maybe we can see what happened. Let's take another look. All right, the ball is through the hoop.
All right, there's Callaway on the right, which he's already started to go down right there. See, his knee has already collapsed. There you see a player down on the ground for Montana State. He tripped over him and twisted that knee. Boy, what a dead silence we have in Assembly Hall with those 17,000.
I want to tell you, it is quiet, yes. Callaway will be taken right away into the Indiana dressing room. Both Tim Garl, the trainer, and Brad Bomba, the team physician, along with a couple of Hoosier players. And now the big question, obviously, is just how serious that is. You don't, you have a ball game you have to think about, and John, something like that, what kind of an effect does it have on the rest of the team?
Well, obviously it does. The kids all saw him get carried out of here, and in the back of your mind, you hope that you would never have to have that happen to you. And they see that that Rick's not in the best of shape right now. But as you hear the whistle blow, the ball's in play. So there's still work to be done out here. You've got to get it out of your mind and go on to the next play.
Loose ball and a jump ball. So the hustle for the ball gives it back to Indiana, and credit Darrell Thomas with some persistency going after that loose sphere on the court. 48-35, Indiana leading by 13. Let's check to see how Indiana's offense pattern is changed, if any. There's Garrett from the line. Here comes Conway. Just a two-point shot. Snodgrass tries to put it back up, and the loose ball on the weak side is dropped in by D'Amico. Tom D'Amico with 14 points. It's 48-37. To Alford, into Thomas. Isle right back up and in. Isle just coming to the ball.
Yeah, great hustle that time, and that's how Steve can help. Just scrap around in there, uses athletic ability. He simply gets that rebound, puts it back in.
D'Amico lays it off. Snodgrass gives it right back and gets it back. Garrett with a hand tips it to Alford. Here comes Indiana. Isle looking inside. Hillman all alone.
Joe's got to be able to do that, Chuck. If the defense is going to play two on Alford, Joe's got to be able to hit that step-up jump shot. He showed there he can.
Joe Hillman, Glendale, California. And off to D'Amico. Won't fall. Thomas. You can see Hillman directing the offense. He tells Isle exactly where he wants him to get on the court. There's the double team. Into Thomas. Stolen. Willis. Isle has it taken away. Willis puts it back up off the glass. Or D'Amico, rather. And a foul, they say, on Steve Alford. Well, Willis had probably the best opportunity bringing the ball down. Appeared to have forced it up, however, and let's take a look. Now, before we do, we have a timeout, so we'll alert our director in the truck. We'll come back and take a look at it later. You're watching Indiana basketball at Assembly Hall in Bloomington, Indiana. The Hoosiers lead the Bobcats 52-37.
I feel like a new man.
He just bought a new car.
And I shopped all over town.
He compared prices, options, warranties.
And I picked out this little beauty.
Very sporty.
Then we needed to insure our new car.
So I shopped all over town.
She compared cost, coverage.
And I chose Farm Bureau Auto Insurance.
Very smart.
You make a very smart, very sporty couple.
You want to fix me?
Thought you never asked.
Let's go.
Larry Hodge always dreamed about getting to the Super Bowl. Well, when GTE supplied the telecommunication systems for Super Bowl 20, Larry got his chance. In just 30 days, he and his team of installers laid 9 miles of cable, designed and installed dozens of telecommunication systems, and over 1,100 different lines, which explains why Larry's team will make it to the Super Bowl again this year. GTE, quality service from quality people.
We're back out on the court with 15:29 remaining in this contest, and still no word on the status of Rick Calloway. Next Tuesday, Indiana travels to South Bend, where they'll play the Fighting Irish, Digger Phelps. Game time is 7:30, and you can see that game over most of these same stations on the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network. Montana State with the ball. Snodgrass puts it up, gets the basket, and draws the foul. Shooting through Dean Garrett. Garrett's second personal foul.
6'8", 225 junior from Peoria. Snodgrass really played well at the end of the first half and got a starting job here in the second. He's just playing simple ball. He's just taking the ball. He turns. He knows the guy guarding is bigger. He just goes right in against him, and Garrett commits the foul. So Snodgrass really playing well today.
52-40. Snodgrass makes it a three-point play for his 8th point. Now pressure on the ball. Hillman clears it up to Alford.
I think you'll see against a full court press, they'll use Alford right at the three-point line. If he gets the ball, he's going to take that shot. That'll really hurt teams who want to try to press Indiana. Steve's able to make the shot.
Alford at the point. All alone. 2 on the way, and it's short. Garrett gets it back. Fight for the rebound. Does Darrell Thomas, but has it taken away. Here comes Conway. Perch with a good move. Behind the back pass. Snodgrass to Conway. Snodgrass. And a foul. And Perch, Shan Perch, coming in behind Joe Hillman, commits the foul.
Shot looked like it might have been partially blocked, but good block out by Hillman. You can see even if your man's a small player on a block shot or a missed shot like that, he can sneak right in and get the rebound. Hillman had good position, prevented that from happening.
Back in the lineup, Clayman Jacobs and Willis for Montana State, replacing Perch and Snodgrass. 14-17 left to be played. 52-40. Indiana's lead is a dozen, one more than they had at halftime. Here is Alford, 3 on the way, and it's good. Steve Alford leading both teams with 16. Off the glass. Now Hillman. Alford steps in. Out of bounds, awarded to Montana State.
Steve really looked for that shot, Chuck. He was down low, came off a double pick right to the top of the key. Looked like he wanted that three-point shot again. He's getting that rhythm a little bit now, but a good defensive play forced him to change that shot.
Montana State trailing by 15, and it's taken away. Here comes Indiana. An opportunity to extend to their biggest lead, 17. Thomas. Alford, 3. Now he steps into two-point range and misses that. Fans wanted the tied-up ball or jump ball call. No good. And Garrett clears the three-point effort of D'Amico. Thomas. Good move. Reverse layup by Dean Garrett. You could hear Coach Knight yelling, "Get it out." I think Coach could see a trap coming down there. He didn't want that.
Good series that time. Steve didn't force that shot. Neither did Darrell, and then they got a layup.
We have a timeout here at Assembly Hall. You're watching Indiana University basketball on the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network. Indiana leads Montana State by 17.
It's hard to save money, but I do it. So I deserve to have it count for more at a bank that will keep it safe under its wing. One that'll help it grow with high interest. And always keep a lookout for even more and better ways for me to save. I deserve American Fletcher.
AFNB, more ways to save and earn more.
I earned the savings advantage.
Without Amex coal, practice would be over. It takes coal to produce the electricity that lights basketball courts all the way from backyards to the NBA. Amex Coal Company. Bet you never thought of us as a basketball power.
Play just before the end of the timeout, or just before that timeout was called. You see Thomas with a great look on the inside.
There's a pass to Dean Garrett, soft little layup. So good action that time. Indiana's been taking a lot of outside shots, Chuck, and I think over the course of the season, they're going to want to work inside if Darrell has a smaller player on him at the forward, or if they can get Dean Garrett open in the middle, as you saw there.
Conway takes it to the right side and fires. Overall, Burton scores. Chris Conway with his first basket in the second half. 57-42. Indiana's lead is 15. Thomas backs in, uses the glass, and scores.
See, there you go. Two good examples. A layup by Garrett, and then a 10-foot bank shot by Darrell Thomas. Indiana needs that as well as Steve Alford's outside shooting.
Conway dishes it off, and a foul, and Keith Smart gets a little body contact on Chris Conway, and Smart called for the infraction.
Personal foul, Indiana, number 23, Keith Smart, his second personal, the team's third. 2 shots, gentlemen. 2 free throws, number 23, foul first.
Watch Dean Garrett come over. He gets off his feet, but watch, he still gets back in time to knock that shot away. There you saw Keith Smart with the foul on the body, but good rebounding ability to jump that time by Dean Garrett.
Garrett, outlets. Here's Smart.
That's a good play. Nobody came to him. He had an 8-foot shot.
Loose ball, out of bounds to Indiana.
Big pressure now by Montana State the last 2 times down the floor. Now they're back to half court.
Smart and Hillman running the offense, and with Alford in there, this is a 3-guard offense. Alford will go low, and we'll see, similar to what we saw in the first half, trying to rub him off on a pick down low, John.
Yeah, there's that flare pick again, as Darrell Thomas said at that time. Steve just missed the shot.
And Hillman coming from behind on the outstretched arms of Calvin Andrews to commit the foul.
Personal foul, Indiana, number 44, Joe Hillman.
Hillman's second personal, the 4th against the team in the second half. But it puts Andrews, 6'7" sophomore from Richmond, California, at the line shooting 2. Calvin averaged only 50% of the stripe last year. His second, and misses both. 16-point Hoosier lead, 59-43, with 11:20 left in this game. More importantly, the condition of Rick Calloway, who was taken to the dressing room about 3 minutes ago. Turnaround by Garrett is good.
That'll be a tough shot to stop. A 10-foot baseline fadeaway if Garrett's able to make it.
Calloway had sustained an injury to his right knee. We don't know how severe. We'll let you know as soon as we find out. Whistle. And another illegal block by Montana State. This one called on Jacobs. And that is Jacobs' 4th foul.
Personal foul, Montana State, number 50.
And the official scores have him with only 3. Now they've upped that now to 4. D'Amico back in for Montana State. D'Amico leading the Bobcats and scoring with 14 points.
10:49. Smart steps up, fires, scores.
He does a good job of getting that foot ready, and then he leaps real high on that jump shot. So he'll be able to take a player maybe a few inches bigger than him, take a good leap, and get that shot away.
Birch to Willis, looking underneath, blocked away by Garrett into the hands of Alford on the steal. Smart behind a screen. It won't fall this time. D'Amico clears. Oh, all alone, misses the shot, and it goes across the top of the board, and we have Ray Willis down underneath the board. And he fell pretty hard. It'll be Indiana's ball on the turnover, however. Let's look. Maybe we can see Willis going down.
Good hustle by Garrett that time. The pass gets around him, but just intimidation there. Looks like Willis fell down on his elbow. Just hit his elbow there on his side.
They block shots, and look at that.
Indiana now with 7. Dean Garrett just had that last one. Now he has 6. Callaway had another one in the first half. But the centers are not going to be able to turn around now and just take that shot. They're going to know Dean Garrett's in there. He can knock it away.
Sean Birch back in, playing with 4 fouls. Sean and Crowell, number 22, his brother. Number 11 is Chris Conway. 35 is D'Amico, and 50 is Clayman Jacobs. That's the lineup for Montana State. Indiana, Joe Hillman, Keith Smart. Here's Hillman under the basket and tipped up and in by Garrett.
Hillman came off a good pick that time and just missed that reverse layup. Garrett right there.
And the other 2 for Indiana are Thomas and Steve Alford. Turnaround on the line. That is only 2, and credit that to Shan Birch. It's only his 2nd field goal today. 65-45. Indiana's largest lead was 22. Last basket.
Good patience there. Both Steve and Darrell could have forced those shots, yet they still continue the offense. Good play.
Inside, what a pass. I don't see how Keith Smart saw that.
A much better offense. You run some time off the clock, you end up with a dunk shot. So much better play. Alford and Thomas give credit for not taking an early shot.
Birch, 3 on the way, no good. Out of bounds, Indiana. They say Clayman Jacobs standing on the line when he had possession of the ball.
Indiana's, since that about 10-minute period in the first half, Chuck, they've made a good play and then a couple bad plays, another good play. There's been no consistency in what they're trying to do, and that's probably the thing bothering Coach the most is you've got to make spurts. You've got to keep your concentration level high and get the job done that you want out there. And Indiana's just been too jumbled up out there in the game.
Out of bounds, Indiana. It was almost an impossible pass by Thomas. Thomas will come out now. Magnus Pelkowski will replace the senior from Westchester, Illinois, who sits down with 15 at the 8:36 mark. Indiana with the ball. Alford looking and gets it all the way back out to Hillman right at the 4 count. Alford, we see that so many times last year. Pelkowski high for the ball. He's fouled by Conway as Pelkowski brought it down, and that's the 4th team foul against Montana State.
There's the flare. You see Magnus setting the pick. Steve's open on the baseline. He's long that time with the shot. But Magnus right there for position. Steve's just not shooting well today.
I may have said that's a count of 5 against Indiana, failing to get it in. I may have said just a moment ago the 4th rebound. I meant 4th team foul against Montana State if I did say it incorrectly.
There's the Indiana bench, and although you've got a 22-point lead, still it's not the type of game that these kids are able to play. They're willing to play it. They're just not able to do it today. So there'll be some studying of this film.
Crowell Birch taken away from Fellows by Steve Alford.
There's the turnovers, 14 and 13 now.
D'Amico clears for Montana State as play begins to once again get a little loose at both ends. D'Amico back to Furch, 3 on the way, no good as Garrett brings it down. And here's Hillman to Alford. Back to Hillman. Underneath, Pelkowski for 2.
Great play by Joe Hillman. He was at the three-point line, faked the shot, and got back as a layup. That brings Montana State up to call a timeout.
7:31 left in this game. You're watching Indiana basketball on the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network. Indiana leads Montana State 69-45.
When you're looking for a sure thing, look to the man who knows what it takes to be a winner. Look for quality, dedication, pride. Look to your Indiana Ford dealer for America's #1 truck, F-150. Priced to save you over $670. Ford quality, dedication, pride, and performance.
See your Indiana Ford dealer. Good people, great products. As sure as a little three-pointer.
We used to have a different insurance company for all our insurance policies.
But when something went wrong, we were never sure who to call.
So we got Farm Bureau Insurance to insure everything.
It's a lot easier.
It's more convenient.
And there's no confusion.
We got one company, one agent.
And only one phone number to remember.
You might say Farm Bureau's one of a kind.
Mm-hmm. Just like you.
Dave Miner back in for Indiana, and for Montana State, Steve Snodgrass checks back in. John, since Callaway went out at the 17:28 mark, IU at that time led 48-35. The score now 69-45, and that's the biggest lead of the game. They've outscored the Bobcats 21-10.
There's the rebounds now, 42 and 39. D'Amico with 17 rebounds, and the most by an opponent is Reggie King with 20. In 1976, so D'Amico's doing a heck of a job out there on the board. Dean Garrett has 10 for Indiana.
Inside, Fellows misses. Rebound, Garrett, foul on Miner. The freshman from Cincinnati, Purcell Marion, picks up his second personal, the 5th against the team.
His second personal, the team's 5th.
And the Fighting Bobcats will try to get something going on this inbounds play. Shan Furch right into D'Amico, blocked away, and finally chased down by Garrett across to Alford. Hey, Garrett just makes an enormous difference in Indiana defensively on the boards.
Well, that's a gimme layup for Montana State on a bad out-of-bounds play, and yet he turns it into a turnover by blocking that shot.
Alford. Steve not having a very good shooting day, as John had alluded to earlier, but that little bounce that he takes after he gets the ball, he was square and ready to shoot for his 18th point. Up and around, Pelkowski out to Smart. Miner, and it's blocked, but he's fouled, and D'Amico will be charged with his 3rd personal.
Chuck, the other thing about blocking shots is you don't have to block shots all the time. What you should try to do is make the other team miss the shot. So if you make him change his shot, or should you happen to block it, that's fine. I think that last 2 shots that Montana State took at the other end of the floor, kind of turn around, spin the ball off the backboard shots, even though they're layups, they're still difficult shots. And because Garrett was there and Montana State feared the block, they took some bad shots. So again, you don't have to block shots to be effective.
Miner misses his 2nd. Snodgrass clears. 72-45. Indiana with the lead. We are inside 6.5 minutes. Furch won't fall. Fellows gets the loose ball. Back to Furch. Blocked away. Garrett with nothing but ball. Alford score. And Snodgrass is slow in getting up.
That brings the crowd to life. and I think it's a defensive play at the other end. Watch Birch go in for the layup. It looks like he's trying to dunk even. Watch Dean Garrett up high, no contact with the body, and starts a fast break. Good defensive play.
Shan Birch with a lot of spring in those legs. He's only 6'2", but he can sky with the ball. Steve tries to slap that ball away. D'Amico right at the line for 2 more. He has 16. Tom D'Amico from Livonia, Michigan.
First shot that Montana State's made in their last 15. So in 3 minutes, the first field goal they've had.
74-47. Indiana with the lead. Velkowski, ridden off by Fellows, gets the outlet up court. D'Amico drops it off. Conway, it won't fall, tipped up. And finally gets it in. Extra effort by Steve Snodgrass.
Well, he's really been hustling out there, Chuck. Magnus just out of position that time, and it gave Snodgrass a chance to stay in the board.
3 by Alford. Yes, it's good. He's fouled. The foul is on Conway, his 4th. As you look at the shot.
All right, watch the play now. Steve's got the ball. Knows he's behind the line, and now you got the chance. There's the body contact, the chance for a 4-point play as he hits 3 and gets a free throw. Indiana now 4 out of 7 from the 3-point line. Brian Sloan checks in the ball game.
A big 4-point play by Steve Alford. He has 24, and Indiana with a 29-point lead, 78-49, with 4:54 left in this game. Fellows back to Conway, steps inside and scores. Conway from Dallas, Texas has 8, and it's 78-51. Alford leaves his man. Garrett puts it back up. And a foul. And that will go against Montana State. Shaking his head is Mike Fellows. Called for his 3rd personal. Steve Alford sits down. Joe Hillman replacing him. Alford leads the game. 24 points at the 4:28 mark. And Dean Garrett, who has not figured in the scoring that much, he has 8.
He's really made his presence known, and Indiana has some scoring. Otherwise, he's done a good job defensively. There's Steve Alford, 23 points, but just not a good shooting day, although it was 3 out of 5 from the 3-point line.
Velkowski for Garrett, who gets a fine hand from the 17,000 plus. Velkowski tries to chase it down. It's last off the leg of Fellows, so Indiana with the ball. 4:14 left to play. Indiana goes on to meet Notre Dame this coming Tuesday night. Montana State moves from here down to Evansville, where they will play the Purple Aces this coming Monday night, December 1st, in a cruise team. Brian Sloan, smart from outside. It won't fall. The board belongs to Montana State, but they can't control the ball. And we have an official's timeout. Inside 4 minutes, 3:52 left to play. You're watching Indiana basketball on the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network. The score, Indiana 80, Montana State 51.
The care and concern your Hooks prescription receives doesn't end with dispensing the prescribed medication. Even the container in which your prescription is placed is important. When needed, Hooks prescriptions go into special moisture and light-resistant containers to assure full potency. And child-resistant caps are provided unless you specify otherwise. Packaged and labeled just for you. From Hooks.
We like to see you smile.
Before you buy a business phone system from a stranger, look into Centrex from Indiana Bell. With Centrex, you can stuff each phone with all the features you want, and phones for Centrex can cost you less, too. You can freeze your phone costs for the next 14 years, and it doesn't cost you a ton to tie all your locations together. Centrex can save you a lot. In fact, you can save enough to buy a company car. Investigate Centrex, the business phone system from Indiana Bell.
An interesting statistic passed along to us from Jim Butler through our director, Jerry Wheatley. None of the 5 for Indiana on the court right now, and that is Pelkowski, Brian Sloan, Joe Hillman, Keith Smart, and Dave Miner played for Indiana last year.
3 red shirts and a freshman and a junior college transfer. So a lot of different looks now Indiana can show this year.
Miner, Dave Miner from Cincinnati, the freshman. Here's Sloan down to the baseline. Bounces it off to Hillman.
There's a good smart play that time. Brian almost forced that shot. Hillman makes a good cut to the basket. Good offense.
82-51. Indiana running away. Word from the Indiana dressing room is they will not know the extent of Callaway's injury until after the game. And Smart, hanging in the air, scores again. He has a dozen. We certainly hope it's nothing serious with Callaway, but it certainly, at this stage, really doesn't look too good. DeMaco, the only player for Montana State keeping them alive, he has 18. And we have 2 minutes, 50 seconds left to be played. Brian Sloan. To Sloan again, and a block. And that will send Brian to the line as Fellows has just been tacked his 4th personal foul. Mike is a 6'9" sophomore from Choteau, Montana.
2 free throws, Brian Sloan, number 45.
Word from the bench is that Dr. Brad Bomba, the team physician, says Callaway's injury is at least a ligament problem right now. They will have more tests later. Sloan misses both. Fellows with the rebound, and here comes Conway. Montana State trailing 84-53. And Montana State will go to the line on an Indiana foul. That is against Dave Miner. His 3rd. Shan Furch, the 6'2" sophomore brother of Crowell Furch, with 1 and 1. It's the first. Furch with a soft touch from the strike for his 5th and 6th points, and once again pressure. Indiana breaks it and gets it up court quickly, and a block called against Montana State. Furch tried to slide over, draw the charge. Shan has fouled out. His 5th foul coming at the 2:27 mark. Leaves the game with 6 points, averaged last year's 7.3 with a season high of 17 in one game. He will be replaced by Michael Liggins. Liggins is a sophomore, 6'6", from Houston.
33, Michael Liggins.
Liggins wearing number 33. You have a good shot of him there. So going to the line will be Indiana once more. Dave Miner and Steve Isle will be coming in. Scott Piper comes into the Montana State lineup, replacing Fellows. Piper is a 6'7" sophomore from Whitefish, Montana. Joe Hillman is out of the Indiana lineup now, with Isle replacing him. Pelkowski with the loose ball. 2:21 remaining in this game. And Indiana with a little weave of its own across the top. Belkowski, he's good from outside, misses this. And can't come up with the ball. Here comes Conway. Scoring effort and rebounding effort. And thrown away. I was going to say, Tom D'Amico tries to play it all. He's got a task in front of him. He has 18 points in the game, but as you said, John, with 17 rebounds, he's played just about the whole game.
He really has, and Montana State's been scrapping. Even now till the end, Chuck, 1:45 left in the ball game. Indiana still having trouble getting the score.
Brian Sloan. Behind the screen by Belkowski, and it's good. Minute 25, 24, 86-55. Indiana will win its first game of the season, but it's a heavy price to pay for the victory, as Rick Calloway in the dressing room with some certain damage to his right knee. Brad Bombas says it is ligament. Just how serious, we'll have to wait and find out. Sloan inside. And the rebound to Fellows. On the line. Scott Piper took that high pass. The ball actually hit the bottom of the board, but when he came down, his foot was on the line. 48 seconds. And a foul.
There's that flare screen again. Brian Sloan came up that time to set it for Minor. And it's not like a full screen where you're actually going down hunting for the guy. You're just standing there, and the offensive player kind of rubs his man off on you. That time Minor does. You'll see Steve Alford do that quite a bit. This time the contact made, Brian goes to the line.
Sloan gets the roll of the ball this time. And the second is good. He has 4. Clock running, 40 seconds left in this game. Only close at the 4-4 spot. That was obviously early in the contest. Loose ball. D'Amico's shot off the rim. Here comes Smart, one-on-one, but he'll hold it up. No, now he drives and scores.
What a play. It looked like, as he faked you out, Chuck, as he looked like he was coming out to set it up, and then the old stop-and-go move went right to the baseline. Good move.
Belkowski lets it go out of bounds.
So you're quick enough to fool the old play-by-play man. You really put on a slick move, I'll tell you that.
Well, Smart will probably show us a lot this year. With 3 seconds, 2 seconds, he'll take the last shot. It's no good, and this game is history. Indiana wins it. Final score 90-55. We'll be back to check on scoring in just a minute.
I think we should talk to our Farm Bureau insurance agent about more life insurance.
Life is full of surprises. Let's use our extra money to enjoy them.
Honey.
We could take a long vacation. I can just see you lying on a beach soaking up the sun.
Honey.
Or we could buy a brand new convertible. It's like a vacation on the beach, but with no sand.
Honey, we're expecting one of life's little surprises.
Because life is full of surprises.
Bob, I need a trainer.
How about Eddie?
He's just a kid.
So was I.
You've worked long and hard to get there. When the time comes, you hope you're ready.
You make America work. This buzz for you.
Here's to you. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
This buzz for you.
Indiana Indiana wins its opener of the 1986-87 season 90-55. Steve Alford leading both teams with 24 points. Darrell Thomas had 15. Keith Smart 14. Dean Garrett had 10. A high score for Montana State. Tom D'Amico, the 6A junior from Livonia, Michigan, with 18. We'll continue with our post-game show in just 60 seconds.
Also have a game Tuesday at Notre Dame with a new tip-off time, 7:30.
Hi, I'm Dick Enberg for GTE. You know, telecommunications and football have a lot in common. They both involve things like good connections, conference calls, and data communications. And for their communications, more and more NFL teams rely on GTE. Teams like the Dallas Cowboys, Tampa Bay Bucks, Indianapolis Colts, and Seattle Seahawks. For your quality communications, talk to the telecommunications consultant to Super Bowl 21. Talk to GTE.
Without Amex coal, practice would be over. It takes coal to produce the electricity that lights basketball courts, all the way from backyards to Assembly Hall. Amex Coal Company. Bet you never thought of us as a basketball power.
Some of the highlights of Dean Garrett's game: 12 rebounds, 7 block shots, 2 steals, and 2 assists. He played quite a game, John.
He sure did. A good start, too. Hopefully it'll be a good 2-year career here at Indiana.
All right, thanks to Joe Smith for assisting us tonight. Any reproduction of this telecast is strictly forbidden without the express written permission of WTTV and Indiana University, which also has approval of the announcers used in this telecast. And we'll be back for a final word in just a minute.
335-6030.
Not a body shop. It's a chop shop, where stolen cars are stripped of their parts. You can help deter auto thieves by supporting stricter licensing and titling laws, insisting on tougher jail sentences for car thieves, and by etching your vehicle identification number on the windshield of your car. Your Farm Bureau insurance agent can help. We gotta shut them down before they clean up.
There's only one good reason to invest: to make money. And if you can do it without high commissions, do it. I did. With people who understand my investment vision, who have an overview of all the alternatives, and know how and when to grasp them. I invest through American Fletcher Securities.
American Fletcher, specialists in personal and corporate investing.
I switched to the investment advantage.
If you're not a AAA member, you're not saving money with our low-cost auto loans. You're not saving money with the lowest possible airfares. Or because you've got our no-fee traveler's checks. You're not saving with AAA's discounted Visa card. Or with our special discount travel tours. Or with any of our 58 services. So become a member. Because if you want to save money with AAA, you've got to join AAA.
Motorized.
Computer robot.
Motorized.
Control M.
It's motorized.
Final score again, 90-55. Indiana over visiting Montana State's Fighting Bobcats. This is Chuck Marlowe speaking to you for Joe Smith and John Laskowski, and inviting you to join us next Tuesday night at 7:30 when Indiana meets Notre Dame from the A&C Center in South Bend, Indiana. Until then, so long, everybody.
You've been watching Indiana University basketball, brought to you for the 15th consecutive year by Farm Bureau Insurance and its nearly 700 agents throughout the state of Indiana. And by American Fletcher National Bank, where the advantage is yours. By your Hooks Dependable Drugstores, we like to see you smile. By the men and women of Amex Coal Company, a division of Amex Incorporated, a worldwide energy and minerals company. By Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. This telecast was produced through the facilities of WTTV in Indianapolis. This is the Farm Bureau Insurance Basketball Network.
For the Wish Kids of Crossroads Rehabilitation Center, the path to independence is long and hard. As Lieutenant Governor, I come in contact with many organizations, and Crossroads is one that's very special to me. As a nonprofit facility, they need your support.
Throughout the holidays, every time you buy a Pepsi-Cola product in your grocery stores and at Union Station, local Pepsi bottlers will make a donation to the Wish Kids of Crossroads.
So help us pave the path to independence. You'll make some very special wishes come true.
Tales of heartburn from Gaviscon antacid. Once a man ate all of Italy.
Pasta with tomato sauce and garlic.
In one night.
And the garlic.
And discovered the only thing worse than daytime heartburn.
Heartburn.
Is nighttime heartburn. Fortunately, there was Gaviscon, specially formulated so it not only gives fast relief during the day, it even works at night when you're lying down. Gaviscon antacid. It even works lying down.
Pinned down one time too many by Astro Train and Blitzwing, the Autobots build their own triple changers.
Autobot triple changers battling the triple changers of the Decepticons.
Triple Changer Sandstorm transforms from dune buggy to copter to robot, and Broadside transforms from carrier to jet to robot. To fight Decepticon Triple Changer Octave, who transforms from tanker to jumbo jet to robot.
Transformers.
The Transformers from Hasbro.
Only we have a military attack group like the Combaticons. Transform Combaticons and attack the new Autobot city.
Transformers, more than meets the eye.
Autobots, this is our new city Metroplex. It can transform into a battle station and then transform again into the gigantic Metroplex himself.
But the Combaticons can combine to form Bruticus.
Decepticons attack! Transform Metroplex!
The Transformers!
The Transformers from Hasbro.